Who could it possibly be? Was it, oh, I don't know. Satan?
Hey, hi guys. How are y'all doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I'm glad you're here, but I wish you would have been here 5 minutes ago when I was supposed to have started. I had a really great 5-minute opening. It's just a shame you weren't all here with me to see it. I got so excited to be here that I went through my entire opening and forgot to push the go live button. Well, here we are now. Gave a little bit of time for people to come on in here. So now we've got 83 people here that are wondering what happened. Here's what happened. I am here. I found out that I was not live when I saw Alan Walsh post something silly and ridiculous in chat. Like, maybe he slept in again. I'm like, why would I be sleeping in again? Oh, that's why they think I'm sleeping in again. But first of all, as I mentioned, why would I be asleep at 10 p.m.? Why would I still be asleep at 10 p.m. Which is what time it is here. But hey, Alan Walsh, thanks for letting me know I was not live in a roundabout sort of way. But I am here, and we are ready to go to part 9 of the Donald Hartung, the Florida v. Donald Hartung witchcraft ritual murder trial. And by my calculations, I estimated, I gave it a best guess. We've got about 4 weeks left, maybe 5 weeks left on this. And then we're going to move on to the next trial. The next one we might do is the new witchcraft trial that took up a couple of days last week. And then after that finishes, there's 2 longer trials that I'm balancing in my head, trying to decide which one I want to run with when the time comes. But I got a good 2 months to think about that, to figure that out. So how are you all doing? I am doing just peachy keen. I just got home a short time ago from watching the new Deadpool v Wolverine movie. If you have any likes in your body whatsoever for the old Marvel movies, like mid Avengers, like anything that happened like before the event, the middle of the Avengers arc, like I'm talking the old school stuff, this is probably the greatest superhero movie ever made in the history of mankind. Just thought I'd say that. All right, that's out of the way. That's not what we're talking about here today, but it was a great movie. Right. I'm trying to think. We don't have a lot to get a hold of here. When this show is over, I'm going to be putting out the initial F at Friday guest list. F at Friday will be tomorrow, where I have a great panel of guests. It'll be a big grift stream. Everybody throw your money at me, and every $100 that comes in, we do a shot. We have a panel. We get shenanigans. We start out great, and shenanigans happen. Join in for that. Take our like and subscribe poll here, everybody. While you're down here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And again, if you are already subscribed to the channel, which you should be, just double check and make sure that you are still subscribed. Right now, we are closing in on a good number. We need 7 more subscribers. Why? Because right now we're at 77,770. If we can get 7 more subscribers, that'll be 77,777. And wouldn't that just be a cool number, just because it's a cool number? But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about either. But once you have done the proper thing and hit the like button and subscribed and double check to make sure you're still subscribed, the thing you should be doing is taking our like and subscribe poll. Today's like and subscribe poll is, how do you like this trial so far? Your choices are, the power of Christ compels you, and they're coming to get you, Barbara. Those are your choices today. They mean whatever you think they mean. Because I don't care whether you like it or not, we're doing it. So there we go. All right, people. Yes. We will be in full party mode tomorrow. For those of you from Ireland, if we have any Irish people here in the stream tomorrow, the whiskey we will be doing shots of as the money comes in is an Irish single. This is actually a very special whiskey from Teeling. It's a single pot still whiskey. That actually means something, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, because this now is not the time nor the place, but we'll be delving into the Teeling single pot whiskey, the single pot still whiskey tomorrow. So anyway, all right, peeps, that's it. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let's do this. And if you feel so inclined as to practice your super chatting skills today, we'll bring them up as it comes in. It's not like a normal trial where we make you wait to the pauses and the natural natural slow parts of the trial, we'll just pause and bring it on up because, hey, we've got time here. So let's see what we can do and take care of it. We'll read anything that comes in. We'll read it as it comes in, and I'll try to pay as much attention to chat as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day. Today is a special day in the Donald Hartung trial. Why is it a special day in the Hartung trial? Because for those of you that are just joining us, those of you that are, Catherine, it sounds like you're a new person around here. Have you seen any of these, Catherine? Have you seen any of these Donald Hartung trials? Because L.C. Merritt, it was Coxwell through the back door with Infinger. That is a very true statement, and Taylor Shabusiness would love that clue. But I don't know, Catherine, if you've actually seen any. Oh, she has. Okay, so you have seen. That's right. I just never know. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of the people, like in what they watch and what they don't watch. But I do seem to recall you actually super chatting last week, if I recall correctly. But yes, today, see, this is what I'm talking about. Today is the day. We've heard from Coxwell all about going in through the back door, all about the rear entrance for the Coxwell. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the first witness to take the stand is Infinger. Infinger is taking the stand. We've got some Infinger action coming up right now. Here, we get ready for some Infinger action, ladies and gentlemen. God, about 10 jokes just went through my head. I can't say any of them on YouTube. There was about 5 jokes for the men, 5 jokes for the women. But we'll just let your own mind fill in. So again, we're just a little bit relaxed here today. So we have Infinger. Infinger is our first witness of the day.
I've been asked to take judicial notice.
Oh, after he takes judicial notice of some stuff, apparently. Perhaps he's going to take judicial notice of the fact that Detective Infinger making the rear entry into the house is the most absurd testimony that could ever be offered in a court of law. Perhaps he's going to take judicial notice of that. Let's see.
Of some certain information. What that means is just the court recognizes the existence of a certain law or other evidence. In this case, it's statute 921.186. And this is a matter that was touched on with the prior witness. It's entitled substantial assistance. Notwithstanding any other law, the state attorney may move the sentencing court to reduce or suspend the sentence of any person who is convicted of.
Okay, they're talking about reducing the sentence of last week's last witness. The last witness of last week was perhaps the world's worst prison snitch testimony I've ever heard, and that includes the horrible testimony of Munch in the Zachariah Anderson trial. This guy couldn't hold a candle to that. He was bad. It was the worst, most contradictory, lie-filled testimony you've ever heard. And well, the Judge Teller here, I think he looks like Teller from Penn and Teller, but Judge Teller here, who likes Gatorade. This trial brought to you by Gatorade. He is now taking judicial notice of the fact that the court that sentenced the prison snitch is perfectly free to alter the sentence as they see fit.
To violating any felony offense, and who provides substantial assistance in the identification, arrest, or conviction of any of that person's accomplices, accessories, co-conspirators, or principals, or of any other person engaged in criminal activity that would constitute a felony. The arresting agency shall be given an opportunity to be heard in aggravation or mitigation in reference to any such.
Oh wow, you've seen the whole trial.
Ooh, cause shown,
no
motion
spoilers.
may be filed and heard in camera, which means in closed hearing.
In chambers.
The judge hearing the motion may reduce or suspend the sentence if the judge finds that the defendant rendered such substantial assistance. All right, Ms. Jensen.
Oh, Judge Bailiff McDonut back there. He ain't stopping anything other than his own heart. I hope no spells are cast or zombies appear, because Officer McDonut, He's like one of the first to go.
State recalls Matt Infinger.
We got a recall witness. Infinger is being recalled. Sarah Palin is recalling Dr. Infinger while lime green shirt guy back there texts on his phone. We have to lock and load our Hartung noises. Oh, stop. God, he's got that lozenge in his mouth again. Early COVID case there in court. This is from 2020.
Good morning, sir. Have a seat. You're still under oath.
Morning.
Morning.
You're right.
I forgot to ask you a question yesterday. You spent some time with Mr. Hartung
Oh,
in
my.
the interviews that the jury watched yesterday, correct?
Yes.
And how tall are you?
6'4".
Dude's big, but so that probably means he had to pay extra for that suit. Dude. Wow. All right.
Was Mr. Hartung, how tall was he compared to you?
A little bit taller, not much.
Hartung's taller than him?
And you also testified, I think, on Mr.
What are they? Do they have like a bunch of giants in Florida? Good Lord. We got a 6'5" zombie in court. Good God.
Griffith's cross-exam that the sheriff's office missed a safe in Von Sill's closet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you interview people from a locksmith company about that safe?
I did.
And when did you actually interview them?
December of 2016.
Okay. And when was Marlon Purifoy interviewed?
May and June of 2016.
When
Purifoy.
Marlon Purifoy was
Purifoy was the snitch. Yeah, he was the snitch. We just called him Malfoy because Purifoy, but yeah, Purifoy was the snitch.
interviewed in 2016, did he talk about the safe in the mom's closet?
Yes, he did.
Did you know about that safe until Marlon told you?
No, I did not.
And until you interviewed Marlon Purifoy, did you know anything about safe combinations in a purse?
No.
Did you attend the autopsy?
Oh shoot! I
of
forgot to get my pipe today.
Richard,
Damn it.
John, and Von Seal Smith.
Yes.
And so were you familiar with the injury to Von Seal's pinky?
Yes, I was.
Is any kind of torture mentioned in any of the reports in this case?
No.
Did the medical examiner's report give any indication of how that injury even occurred?
It mentioned a defensive wound.
Now, when you interviewed Marlon Purifoy in May or June of 2016, did he talk about why the clothes were put on the bodies?
Yes, he said Hartung had told him that he put the clothes on top of the bodies to throw off the body temperature and time of death.
And other than
convenient.
Mr. Purifoy,
Hearsay. I mean, it's an exception, but that's the question you should have asked. I think she did ask him. Why is she asking him this question? I thought she asked prison snitch, the bitch snitch. I thought she asked him that same question.
when was the first time that body temperatures or time of death were even mentioned in this case?
It was during Dr. Minier's deposition in December of 2016.
Was any blood found in Mr. Hartung's car?
No,
Was that mentioned anywhere in any reports?
no.
When you were at the Smith residence in 2015, did you walk around the overall perimeter of the property?
Yes, I did.
And was there any kind of gate on the backside of the property?
Yes, there was a chain link gate next to the woods in the backyard.
Okay. And did you notice if it was locked or unlocked?
It was unlocked. There was a padlock through the hinge on the gate, but it was not locked.
to show you would have been previously marked as State's Exhibits 411 and 412. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
Were those taken by crime scene in July of 2015?
Yes, they were.
And are they fair and accurate visuals of the gate that you just described?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I'd move States 411 and 412 in evidence. And permission to publish.
Wow, I have to pause the stream here because I've been chastised. I don't know how to do this. I've been chastised by. I haven't had a negative comment in a long time. I'm not sure I can cope with this. And these stream 2 days ago, the What the Hell stream, titled "The Rise of the Grudge." So someone just 10 minutes ago left me a nasty message saying, "You do a lot of yapping about your housekeeping stuff no one but you cares about. Get to the main subjects." No. It's not a real stream unless, like Megan Fox says, there's 17 minutes of bullshit at the beginning. I try to keep it to about 7 minutes of bullshit, but you know. I apologize. There's 127 of you here. I assume around 110 of you had to put up with my ridiculous, nonsensical, stupid housekeeping stuff that none of you care about. I apologize. Oh, I snorted. Let's get back to it.
For the record, this is State's Exhibit 411, and just describe for the jurors what this shows.
The gate right there on the back fence of the property.
Like by the wheelbarrow, kind of?
Correct.
It was a she.
And
Norma
6 Exhibit
Rose is
412.
her name.
And that's the lock in the hinge of the gate that you just showed me.
Oh.
Now, was the fact that that gate was not locked mentioned in any reports in this case?
No.
Excuse me.
Oh, she's got COVID. Seriously.
Was the name
This was in early July. I mean, early 2020. So
name of Mr. Hartung's dog mentioned in any reports in this case?
No.
Thank you, sir. Those are all my questions.
What does the name of his dog have to do with anything? Oh, nice yellow shirt there. The 1970s want your shirt back, dude. And meanwhile, Mr. like pistachio ice cream man back there, rocking the beats. He's probably listening to Dr. Dre. He looks like the Dr. Dre type.
Agent
Oh, we have
Infinger.
a samurai sitting next to him there on the right.
You said you missed a safe in Miss Closet.
Yes.
Okay. And you said you didn't learn about it till May or June of 2016.
Yes.
Do you know, had it been located prior to that when the house was cleaned?
Not to my knowledge, no. That was the first I'd heard of it.
Okay. Well, do you know the house was cleaned by a cleaning crew prior to it being sold through the probate administration?
I didn't know that.
Okay. And
So this trial took place in January of 2020. So literally, these could be some of the first COVID patients in America you hear coughing in the courtroom. It ended on January 29th. That was literally 10 days after the world went to hell. So yeah, these could be the first whiffs of coughing COVID that we're witnessing here. Ooh, retro.
when the house was cleaned and the safe was found, did anybody tell you that?
No.
But you weren't even aware the house was cleaned and set put up for sale, were you?
No.
Beelzebub Robert is the dog's name. Why is that? That's twice I've snorted. What's wrong with me? Wake up.
When you
There we go.
are
Jeez.
working on a case, do you prepare reports about what has happened and what's transpired?
Yes.
And are they provided to the state attorney's office?
Yes.
And are they then provided to defense counsel?
Yes.
Did they provide your neck beard?
Do you know what information that I may have shared with Mr. Hartung?
No.
What?
Do you know what theories of the case I may have shared with Mr. Hartung?
No.
So you don't know what we may have talked about as what I've recognized to be important or unimportant as far as the case is concerned.
No.
What are you getting at?
Do you have any idea what correspondence he may have received from his probate attorney?
No.
And do you know whether any information about the subjects that Ms. Jensen
They're
just
coming
asked
to
you
get
about
you,
were provided to
Barbara.
Mr. Hartung by either me or his probate attorney?
No.
Sorry. Extra one.
Was there a toolbox found in the house?
Your next door neighbor's a freaking toolbox.
There may have been. I don't recall. It doesn't stick out to me.
His tool doesn't stick out for you. Is that what you're saying?
Did you ever search
I can't with
Richard
this trial.
Smith's mini?
You heard it here. Infinger has testified that the dude that there were no tools sticking out for him. No tools sticking out. No, there's no tools poking out for Infinger.
Warehouse unit at Cube 3.
I went and looked in it. I did not go through it.
And when was that?
August of 2015 at some point in time. I don't remember the exact date.
Did you take photographs of it?
No, I obtained the video footage from the warehouse there to see if anybody went in that after the crime had occurred, and nobody did.
I gotta ask.
about
Does his
before the
hair
crime?
snap onto his head?
No,
No one went in, or you didn't get the footage?
we did not get that video footage.
Oh my
So
God! I
what you
gained like
determined
80 pounds
was
during COVID.
That Mr. Hartung did not go to the Cube 3 storage unit after the death of his family.
Correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an auspicious moment here right at the end of recalled Infinger. He recalls the Infinger, his testimony, Jonathan Irwin. Jonathan Irwin bringing the first $5 heat to the night. Woo! Side question, can you get evidence thrown out of a civil trial if during discovery the other side fails to properly redact everything? I know you can get yelled at. Probably not thrown out. I mean, it would just be a violation of the court's order to redact stuff. I would guess. And now, dang it, Jonathan. As I mentioned earlier, I forgot my pipe. I forgot to get I brought the tobacco and I got the lighter and stuff. I just forgot my pipe. But now seeing you with your pipe in the what do you call that, thumbnail, your profile, I have got to run across the house and grab a pipe. So, sorry, I can't give you the definitive answer without knowing the full sort of thing. But ordinarily, wouldn't be thrown out. You just get yelled at really, really loudly. But could be. I don't know. But I'm gonna run across the house and get a pipe. Thank you very, very much for that. Thank you for the super chat. I'll be right back. Oh, as soon as I make fun of him.
This time.
No more questions.
Direct. Okay, thank you, sir. You can step in.
All right, we'll wait for the new witness to come in. Oh my good Lord, it's like 1979 Glenn Campbell. I know at least a couple of you are old enough to get that reference, but he does look like 1970s Glenn Campbell. Wow. That's kind of spooky. Wow. All right. I'll be right back. As soon as this guy, the next witness is Form estate planning law fire employee Jessica Bohan. What the hell does that even mean? Form estate planning law fire employee Jessica Bohan is our next witness. So this is a two prosecutor trial. This is a 3 prosecutor trial, isn't it? Jeez, holy cow! They must. It's like everybody. Like, let's get everybody a chance at being a prosecutor. Hey, MG, what's up? No rhinestones, like a rhinestone cowboy. That's a great song. Riding out on, and here, fun fact, if you didn't know, and I didn't know this until about 2 years ago, something about Glenn Campbell. If you don't know, Glenn Campbell is one of the greatest country guitar players and singers in the history of country music. But Glenn Campbell is also a grand bagpipe player. So people like from Alan Walsh country, just look up Glenn Campbell bagpipes. He plays he's like a master grand bagpipe player. Fantastic stuff. I did not know that until because someone said, yeah, he plays bagpipes. I'm like, Glenn Campbell plays bagpipes. No. And then I Googled and I'm like, holy shit, not only does he play bagpipes, he plays them very goddamn well.
Ma'am, can you state your name and spell your last name for us?
Jessica Bohan, Bohon.
And what's your date of birth?
Google it, Alan.
June 2nd, 1975.
And back in 2015, where were you employed?
She's only 6 years younger than me. She's only 6 years younger than me. What you doing, Bohan? What you doing next Friday?
The law firm of J. Mark Fisher.
Law firm. Okay. Now it all makes sense. All right, hang on. I've got to add her to the banner. So when it said form estate planning law fire, they meant law firm, not law fire. That makes a little more sense. All right. We got that. Let's do this shiz, shall we? And yes, again. Yeah, man, Daily Quick. I tell you, that surprised the hell out of me when I realized that Glenn Campbell was literally a master, not the little freaky bagpipe, but the whole grand bagpipe player. But anywho, let's get on with this.
And what kind of work did you do?
And we did finish the show with last week with Steven Seagal playing the blues in concert. Perhaps we'll end today's show with some Glenn Campbell bagpipe. We'll just have to see. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Probate and estate work.
In August, September of 2015, were you involved in the probate case of the Smith family?
I was.
And did your firm represent Mr. Hartung?
Yes.
I need you to speak up, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you describe to the jury just generally what is probate?
It is establishing the validity of a will through the court. It is a court process for establishing the validity of a will, distributing of assets.
And whose or what estate was at issue with your firm?
I'm sorry?
What estate was at issue?
The Smith estate, it was not, they didn't have an estate, they had wills, but the Smiths.
Is that the mother and the two brothers?
Yes.
Did you ever go out to 4605 Deerfield Drive?
I did.
How many times?
Several. It's been quite some time now, but several times.
And were you involved in the cleaning of the house?
Several times. That's a good number. That's a good number to testify to. Several. That's how many numbers.
I did not personally clean it. I was involved with the interviewing or hiring of the cleaning team that was out there, and I would oversee that.
And did you hire a cleaning team?
The firm did, yes.
And as part of your duties there, did y'all have to do an inventory of the house?
I don't recall an inventory of the items in the house.
Oh, ask the neighbor. He'll know.
When we were out there, I know that valuables were taken away and put off-site somewhere.
By your firm?
Yes.
Did there come a time where a safe was found in the house?
Yes,
And was this after law enforcement had left?
it was. Yeah, we were not allowed out there until after that time.
Approximately when was it that y'all were out there doing
Right.
the
That's one of my favorites that he does.
September
of 2015?
2015, yeah.
And where was that safe found?
Oh, Hugh Laurie does some great
In the
blues
floor,
and jazz
cemented
piano,
in the
man.
floor,
Oof.
in the closet of Von Seal Smith.
And did you personally see that safe?
I did.
Did you photograph it?
I did.
So the estate planning
Would you use
lawyers
photograph?
found the safe.
My cell phone. I used my cell phone, and then I sent that photo to Bentley Fisher, the attorney at the Fisher firm that I work for.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to show you states 377 information.
Yeah, if you get Hugh Laurie, Dr. House, get
recognize
his
377?
jazz piano
I
album.
do.
Oh my
What is
God,
that?
that's great.
This is a photograph of the safe that I found, or I personally didn't find it, that was found in the closet.
And is that an accurate picture of how you found it?
Yes.
I'd like to move in 377.
Now, for those of you that are Googling Glenn Campbell for the first time,
Did
tell
you
me
or
that
your
he
firm
doesn't
try
look
to get a
like Glenn
locksmith to
Campbell.
come open it?
Yes, I called around that day to try to get someone out there.
And do you personally know if there was any contents in the safe?
I don't know. I
Why
was
not?
not there at that time. I was not there at that time. I had already left.
Left where?
Left the firm
Okay.
and went somewhere else for employment.
Between July 31st of 2015 and September, when y'all were in there doing the cleaning, do you have any idea of who might have come and left from that residence?
I would only know the folks that were out there on my watch. So yes, I would know who that is.
Would you know if anyone else had access to that home?
I would not know that.
How long did it take for y'all to clean the house or do the inventory?
We were out there a solid week.
Oof. Yeah, because it was kind of a hoarder's house.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Those are my questions. Judge, I would like to publish 377.
So her whole purpose was to come and say, we found the safe in the
Bohan,
floor.
is that your foot?
That's it.
Yes, Nosferatu.
Judge, the defense has photos 23.
Judge, I object. The bailiff has a bigger gut than me, and the other bailiff has an even bigger gut than this one.
So admitted.
Can I publish these before I question Ms. Butler?
You may.
I guess, but may I not can.
Fucking thing is out of fluid. God dang it. But I'm a Boy Scout. Be prepared.
If you could pass them down as you each one.
Yeah, first.
Yes, ma'am.
He looks like he's got
And
skin
I'm gonna
cancer.
show you what's been marked as defense 23, 24, and 25. These accurately represent Mrs. Smith's bedroom when you were at the house doing the inventory and cleaning.
They do.
Well, that's the end of the
And-
Zippo lighter canister thing.
When you were there, the first time you went there,
I have to smell my fingers so I
the
don't
house
set them on
had just
fire.
been left as the law enforcement had found it, to the best of your knowledge.
It had, yes.
And were you there with Mr. Fisher?
I was.
And after you and Mr. Fisher were there, what was your job?
My job was
Oh, wait,
to
what did I
find a
miss?
cleaning crew that would come in and essentially gut the house of all of its
I
contents.
object to your
including
use of the
carpeting.
phrase gut. It makes me self-conscious.
And which cleaning crew was that? You recall?
I do not recall.
Was a commercial cleaning crew.
It was, yes.
And were you there when they started cleaning out the house?
I was.
And were you there when the safe was found in the closet?
I was.
Prior to taking all of the furniture and the stuff, the clothing, etc., out of the room, could you get back into the closet?
Prior to that,
Yes, ma'am.
no.
Was there just too much stuff in the room?
There was It was full. Yes. I mean, you could get to the doorway, but not really into the closet itself.
Was that because of all the stuff?
Yes.
Well, you were there. You indicated that a floor safe was found.
Correct.
Thank you. That's the floor safe, am I correct?
That's correct.
No, it's the ceiling.
I'm looking at where your shoe is. Was the carpet cut around there?
I was not back there when they pulled the carpet up, but that's
Looks like it was
how
kind
it was
of
found. They pulled the carpet back.
They had to pull the carpet back from the carpet tacks?
They had to pull the carpet back.
Insert pulling carpet back jokes here.
If I might.
You might.
Right there, it looks like tacks where you tack the carpet to the wall. Is that what you
To the wall.
see?
Who tacks carpet to the wall? That wouldn't be carpet. That would be wallpaper at that point. Or not even paper. It'd be like a tapestry, I guess. If you tacked carpet to the wall, I guess it would become a tapestry. I don't know. But what I do know is that Jill M's with the $2 Aussie. Well, that's not supposed to be that. That's supposed to be a ship's bell with the $2 Aussie. Did you know Kevin Costner can sing and has albums? I did not know that. I hope he sings heavy metal. And Kylie needs a holiday. Everybody needs a holiday, but Kylie needs one more than most, I guess. Been watching Black Swan murder trial without breaking attorney-client privilege or waived. How can an attorney be a witness or testify for prosecution when the client is a deceased victim in a separate case? Ooh, that's a weird question. Well, normally the privilege ends at death in a lot of cases, so I'm assuming that's how it works in that jurisdiction. That any attorney-client privilege may be waived upon death, or may just disappear upon death. That's weird. See, the more I've seen clips of this, I saw the clip of a witness laughing, the defense lawyer making a very inappropriate comment, and the judge berating the defense lawyer pretty soundly for a few minutes. Now this, I'm really curious about this. Interesting.
You there?
It is.
And along this edge here, is that where the carpet was cut?
Oh, by the way, again, thank you so much for that super chat, Kylie. I'm guessing the death is the answer.
Where my foot is
Yes, ma'am.
over. That I don't know.
Well, did the cleaning crew pull back that carpet to throw it out?
They did.
And is that when the safe was found?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
And do you know what the contents of that safe were, or were you not there when it was open?
The more I think about it, I don't know. I know that the communications, the conversations between the lawyer and the dead client would still be protected by attorney-client privilege. Dang, that's a very good question. Well, shoot. You're asking all the right questions. Fascinating. But I know there are circumstances where the attorney-client privilege is waived on death. if if there's something the lawyer knows and the client dies, and the executor of the estate says, "Hey, we need this information. We know you have this information. Please tell us." Then you can waive the attorney-client privilege in that respect. And if the estate is involved in litigation, there's a few times. That's a very, very interesting question. I'm gonna have to go watch some of this trial. Thank you, Kylie, for making me think. Appreciate that.
I do not. I was not there when it was open.
So you don't know what may have been in that safe?
No idea.
Cocaine.
I guess Mr. Fisher would know that.
I would think so. That is who I would defer your question to. Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's
When
fascinating.
you were working with the Fisher Law Firm, there were occasions
Bernice!
when
Hi, Bernice. Everything is
communications had to
perfect.
be made with Mr. Hartung. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And would that be by mail?
Wouldn't be
By
by
mail or
female.
by phone. I've spoken with him as well.
When he would have to call you from the jail, right?
This was before. I wasn't there long, but this was before he was.
Before he was arrested?
Yes.
And after he was arrested, did you send mail to him or were you gone by then?
I had left the firm by then.
So when did you leave the firm?
I believe it was early October.
kinda cute.
Of 2015.
Kind of that Sally Fields kind of cute way.
Do you
Exactly,
know,
Alan.
did
You
Mr.
got the
Hartung
idea, Alan.
ask to have anything from the house?
Yes.
What was that?
I think they were just family heirlooms or something. He was specific about a book or something of
Witchcraft,
Indian
voodoo ceremonies.
heritage or something along those lines. For some reason, the book sticks out.
But family,
Just like the
what
book
we call
stuck out in the
trinkets
movie
or
Interstellar.
heirlooms.
That's what I would call them.
Did he take anything
I
else from the
am-
house?
Dracula.
He only took very few things, to my knowledge.
And you were there, or Mr. Fisher was there whenever he went there, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what he took, was it anything of any real value?
I wouldn't know the value of anything he took.
Other than personal?
Personal. I wouldn't know monetary
Ask the
value.
neighbor. He knows the value of
And
everything.
the things of value were taken by putting somewhere else for Mr. Fisher?
Anything that was in that house when we went in to clean up that was of value was taken to an offsite storage area.
That was
That
controlled
was-
by Mr. Fisher?
Correct.
Give it a few years, Ben. Give it a few years.
I don't have anything further. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, is this
Sure.
how you found the safe when you saw it?
When I was taken back there, yes.
Okay, so you didn't see it with the carpet down?
No.
Thank you.
Right, you can step down there.
I'm just gonna say, Tam the man. I put a curse on you. Ha 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 ha. I really, from the bottom of my soul, hope that is a Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I put a spell on you song reference, because if that's a Screamin' Jay Hawkins reference, you get 1 million internet points.
Will you state your name, please?
Wayne Wright,
And where are you employed?
the state attorney's office.
What are your duties with the state attorney's office?
I'm an investigator assigned to the homicide major crimes section.
How long have you been doing that?
With the state, approximately 4.5 years now.
And where were you before the state attorney's office?
The Escambia County Sheriff's Office.
What did you do for the sheriff's office?
I started off in crime scene, spent approximately 4 years in crime scene. Then I moved to uniform patrol, And then I went to investigations, serving both as a property crime investigator and then as a major crimes investigator.
And tell the jury your
Wayne
crime scene
Wright.
training and experience.
Crime scene, I completed both the basic and advanced courses through the American Academy of Applied Sciences, American Institute of Applied Sciences. There was a 40-hour crime scene processing class the sheriff's office sponsored, and then there was ongoing training throughout my 4 years at the sheriff's
He had a
office.
few.
Back in July of 2015, were you involved in the death investigation on Deerfield Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you at the state attorney's office or the sheriff's office at that point?
The state attorney's office.
And what was your primary role?
I act as a liaison between the sheriff's office and the state attorney's office, and I just assist with pretty much anything that is deemed necessary.
Kind of like a jack of all trades.
Kind of.
Did you continue?
Okay, I got Nina Simone's "I Put a Spell on You" was okay, but it doesn't have the craziness of the Screamin' Jay Hawkins original.
Continue working on this case through trial?
Yes, ma'am.
And on July 31st of 2015, did you actually go to the scene when the bodies were found?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I thought about it.
And did you go back to the Deerfield Drive home as follow-up?
Yes.
And when you would go
I hadn't heard Bonnie Raitt's
back
version.
out
I
to the
love me
Deerfield
some
Drive
Bonnie
home,
Raitt.
did you see, well, do you know who Mr. and Miss Chittenden are?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you would go back out there for follow-up, would you see them sometimes?
Yes, I'd see him on the front porch.
Okay, the Chittendens, they're the nosy neighbors. That's the Colonel Sanders Burl Ives snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer neighbor. The one's always out there that has the weird photographic memory. So he's asking the now state attorney's office employee, former sheriff, did you see them? Oh yeah, they're out there on the porch. They were watching us. But I did not know that Bonnie Raitt did a version of "I Put a Spell on You." I'm gonna have to go watch that because, dang, I love me some Bonnie Raitt. And that skunk stripe and the red hair, and Bonnie can lay down some blues guitar, man. Oof, she is fierce. The chitterlings.
Now, did you take photos of the view between the Smith residence back porch and Mr. Chittenden's backyard?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When was that?
I believe that was September 29th, 2015.
Oh, okay. I love Bonnie Raitt too, man.
States Exhibits 378 and 379.
Yes, ma'am,
You recognize those?
I do.
Did you take those on September 29th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
And are they fair and accurate visuals of the locations
Smith
between the
residence,
Smith family home
Smith
and
residence,
Chittenden's home?
not
Yes, ma'am.
sniff
Judge, at
residence.
this time, I'd move states 378 and 379 into evidence.
So admitted.
Sniff residence. Come on.
And this is states 378. Can you just describe for the jurors where you're standing and what the picture shows?
Yes, ma'am. This would be in the backyard of the Smith residence. If you don't mind me standing.
No,
Kind of
please.
does sound like you said sniff residence, doesn't it?
The gate here leads into their yard, and then this would be the
Wait.
Chittenden home, and this would be the Chittenden's backyard.
Aussie Wombat
This is
is not the vice
379.
Rax of the day. I need to change that.
Same location. I'm just standing back a little bit further in the Smith's yard, just underneath their back porch area.
Have you reviewed a document, in this case, that the state obtained from the U.S. Department of Commerce?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right. The new vice Rax of the day is Kylie Needs a Holiday so far.
what's been previously marked as Stays Exhibit 380. Have you had a chance to review that document?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Judge, at this time, I'd move in states 380. The state filed a notice of intent to rely on a certified record on May 20th, 2019.
So admitted.
What is that document?
This shows the sunset times on the dates in question.
Okay. And what was the sunset time on July 28th, 2015?
It would be 7:46
Okay.
p.m.
What does that document show?
This shows 6:46 p.m.
Okay. And then does it provide for the fact that they don't take daylight savings into effect?
Yes, ma'am. On the third or fourth page, I guess, it shows that daylight savings time is not used for this document.
In May and June of 2016, did you participate in interviews with Marlon Purifoy?
Yes, ma'am.
And after those interviews, did you go in search of a Wiccan priest or high priest near 9 Mile Road?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And were you able to find anyone?
Yes.
Okay. What did you find?
There's just like Wiccan priests laying around the neighborhood there. Did you go looking for a Wiccan priest in the neighborhood? Why, yes, I did. And I did find one. You can't shake a stick without rousting out a few Wiccan high priests. And Jill Ams, hang on, I got to fast forward here to the, there we go. Woohoo! Jill Ams, the Aussie $5. Go watch Courtney Hadwin sing I Put a Spell on You by Janis Joplin. Okay, so Janis Joplin did a reworking of Screamin' Jay, and I don't think I've ever heard of Courtney Hadwin. I will have to check that out. Thank you very much. 9 Mile Road. Yep, it's just 1 mile shy of Eminem's house, apparently.
I found a couple that identified themselves as a high priest and high priestess. They didn't live off 9 Mile Road, but they did hold periodic ceremonies at a church just north of 9 Mile Road.
Hey, I think we're going to get to our Wiccan high priest here.
Mr. Purefoy's second interview, did you have him move to a different area of the jail?
I did.
Okay, and what's the purpose of that?
It's standard procedure. Anytime that a witness's identity is disclosed, we have them moved.
Okay. Nothing to do with Mr. Hartung, right?
No, it's standard procedure.
This is just a straight up Savinelli.
Now, as part of your duties, do you often have to retrieve evidence from the sheriff's office and bring it to trial?
Yes.
And were you asked to bring sheriff's office number 22, a hammer from the sink for trial today?
I was.
We have no objection.
Sink hammers are the best hammers.
Judge, at this time I move into evidence states exhibit 381, which is a hammer from the kitchen near the sink.
So admitted.
What's up, Yoda? How you doing, Yoda? What you doing, baby?
So are you familiar with firearms?
Yes,
Okay. And are you a task force officer?
I am.
For who?
The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
And is there a particular section?
I'm assigned to the gun crime response team here locally.
So he's the state
Now,
attorney's office, former
Do you know
sheriff,
if
ATF guy.
If you can use a silencer with a 9mm firearm.
Yes.
Of course you can.
Okay. And what is a silencer?
It's silent.
Really, the proper term would be a suppressor. It doesn't really silence the gun, it just suppresses. But all it is any device that would reduce the velocity and speed with which gas leaves the barrel of a firearm. And by
Shoot
reducing
it.
the
No.
velocity and speed of that gas, it reduces the sound the firearm makes.
Reduces the sound?
And the muzzle flash, yes.
Now let me take you back to your crime scene days.
Okay.
Are you familiar with GSR?
Yes.
Gunshot
What is
residue.
GSR?
Gunshot residue.
Okay. And did you learn about that through your training and experience as a crime scene tech?
Yes.
Okay.
And you
what
learn that it's
knowledge and
largely
experience do you
horseshit.
have?
Gunshot residue, it's a test that is performed. There's actually it's looking for three specific elements, antimony, barium, and lead, that may be on the hands of somebody that has come into contact with a
Only hands?
firearm. The theory being that when a firearm is fired, the majority of gunshot powder, gunshot residue is expelled from the barrel of the gun, but a small amount is blown back from the breech end of the gun and may get on the shooter's hands.
And maybe clothing?
Clothing, yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with what kind of consistency GSR is?
It's roughly like a flour, like cooking flour type.
And Based on your training and experience, what is the time frame best to test for GSR?
Before they shower.
Per the standards that were in place at the time, FDLE would not accept any test that was taken more than 8 hours after the incident had occurred.
And you say at the time, are you talking about in July of 2015?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, that's how I was trained.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, a few questions. You said that you went and talked to a high priest and priestess. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did they know Mr. Hartung?
No,
Did they ride Harleys?
not to my knowledge.
Okay. You asked them specifically if they knew Mr. Hartung, right? Or if they'd had contact with him.
Yes, sir, I did.
And the answer was no.
That's correct.
As far as firearms, first of all, you're not a firearms expert, are you?
No, sir.
But you do know a little bit about GSR simply through your investigative training.
Yes, sir.
Now, what GSR is the blowback from a firearm.
Not
The
necessarily blow
gases
back.
that blow back, and they have one of the three elements.
No, that's not accurate.
Yes, sir.
That's not accurate.
And a combination of those elements indicate that it was gunpowder that was blew back on the person firing the gun.
Yes, sir.
And that blowback can either be on the person firing the gun or potentially someone next to that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And gunshot residue can be found on hands
Yes.
because if it's a revolver, you're holding the handle of the gun, correct?
Yes.
A revolver or a semi-automatic
Sure.
pistol. And as far as the blowback, if someone has on a long sleeve shirt, it can get on their shirt. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yes, sir.
And it can get on the chest area of their shirt.
In the region of the chesticles. I'm not stopping that to be weird and gross. I'm stopping that because Jill M's dropped 20 more Aussie bucks with the release the hounds. We're far away from releasing the hounds. We're only about we're only about 1/3 of the way there. We got about 65 left. 65 U.S. American dollars. Don't press. Save it for the show tomorrow. Save it for the Friday evening U.S. time. That'll be Saturday afternoon Saturday late morning, early afternoon, depending which part of Australia you're from. But Saturday morning, Saturday, save it for then. That's when it counts. But hey, I'll take it now too.
Yes, sir.
But we're like
And
65 away
there's
from
no
Doggo
definitive
Camp.
time on how long that'll stay on a shirt, is there?
Hey,
Not to my knowledge.
son of a bitch!
And in fact, it can stay.
Yoda heard you, and Yoda just decided it was time to piss on the stupid bed. Yoda, you dumbass. You fucking idiot. Right. Well, I got a little cleanup work to do here, so I'm going to let it play. I'll be back.
On a shirt for a lengthy period of time unless, say, it gets wet either in a rainstorm or you obviously wash the clothing.
Theoretically, yes, that's correct.
Now, as far as a silencer is concerned, silencers are able to be purchased in the state of Florida. Is that correct?
With the, you'd have to make application through the ATF.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. You're jumping ahead because you're reading my mind.
I'm sorry.
You can buy silencers in Florida.
With the appropriate documentation, yes.
And there are requirements in buying silencers.
Yes.
And you have to clear a background check, first of all.
Yes.
And you have to buy what I think is called a federal tax stamp.
Yes, sir.
And to obtain a federal tax stamp, you have to go through certain procedures with the United States government.
Correct.
And then the store where you intend to buy the silencer has to okay it.
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
And then you get your silencer.
Correct.
There would be a record kept by the stores that sell these silencers because of getting the tax stamp. Is that correct?
I believe the ATF maintains a record of them. Yes.
And as long as they've been selling silencers, you've had to have that tax stamp.
Hi, I'm back. Jill says bladder control. Lol. Yoda. You dumbass. Boop. You fucking idiots. I swear to God. You hear no female laughs anywhere. All right. Well, shit. Let's get back into it. I'm assuming I didn't miss anything in the last couple of minutes from dude here. Uh-oh. Jill, thank you. Thank you for this. Do not know what PMSFL is, but thanks. Not telling. All right. Here we go. Okay, people. Let's sad.
Yes, you know you did bad. I know that. You know you bad doggy. You're a bad doggy.
Now Strawberry's all agitated. Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Pissed myself laughing. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Thanks for the clarification.
Yes.
At least since 1930s.
Yes.
Do you know if any tax stamp was ever issued to Mr. Hartung to buy a silencer?
Oh,
I don't
shut
know.
up.
Did you investigate that?
No, sir.
Do you know if anyone investigated that?
Not to my knowledge.
Oh,
Do you know if any silencer?
So Yoda pees in one bed and leaves it there. I have to clean it and put on all the the antibacterial forest floral scented don't pee here again thing. And while it's then she goes and lays in the other one. So poor Strawberry is sitting here going,
Where do I go? I didn't pee in anything, and I don't have anything soft to lay in. What's the problem?
all right, sorry. Let's go.
Silencer was ever found at the crime scene or at Mr. Hartung's residence?
Not to my knowledge.
So did he have a silencer or not?
This may be a little bit outside your area of expertise, but when a cartridge is fired,
And a cartridge and
there
a
are generally out of a revolver or a rifle. There are layings and grooves on the bullet. That comes
Oh my
out.
God.
On the projectile, yes, sir.
And the bullet was too broad a word on the projectile. And those layings and grooves can tie that projectile to a specific type of.
Fuck off. No, it can't. Seriously. Bullshit. That is more voodoo than the voodoo that the prison snitch was claiming to practice. Come on, all those the bullet markings and shit. That is the biggest voodoo of all voodoo-dom. Come on, that is horseshit, and everybody that testifies to it knows it.
Of gun and even to a specific gun.
Yes.
Okay. Do silencers affect the layings and grooves? I mean, and like I said, it may be more than.
Typically, no, not to my knowledge. They don't.
In this particular projectile that was recovered by, I think it was crime scene Tecmaceta. In this particular projectile, did it have any indication that a silencer was used?
How the
I
fuck
don't
would
know,
that
sir.
know?
Okay.
You can't tell that from you dumbass. Come on, jackass. TMI.
As far as the hammer is concerned, have you looked at that hammer that you brought over here?
Just this morning when we opened it.
It's hammer time.
What kind of hammer is
I don't know.
it? You don't know whether it's commonly purchased at Kmart's or anything like that?
No, sir, I don't know.
Okay.
What do you mean? I am so confused now. Did you look at the hammer? Oh, okay. All right, okay. He's talking about like the pounding nails in hammer. God, I thought he was talking about like the hammer on the gun. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the kind that's commonly sold at Walmart. It's usually sold attached to the goddamn gun. All right, I was really confused there. I was still stuck in firearms mode. Hey, let us know when you're segueing to a new thing here, pal. Jeez. All right. I was still locked in that land. All right.
Do you know anything about the hammer other than you brought it over here from the sheriff's
the
department?
pound kind
That's
of
pretty
hammer.
much the extent of my knowledge.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Karen Cole. Oh, okay. Dried strawberries. First time trying them. I need to do something with my brain, because first of all, I thought that, the pounding hammer, I thought they were still talking about like the hammer on the firearm. And I was thinking this is the first time you've ever tried strawberries. I was like, how have you never tried strawberries? Okay, then I see it was like dried strawberries, like just like dehydrated strawberries or freeze-dried strawberries. Freeze-dried strawberries are kind of cool.
If someone washes their hands, can that eliminate GSR particles?
Yes.
If they wash their clothes, can that eliminate GSR particles?
Yes.
Yep.
And are records kept, and I'm talking about firearms, sorry to jump around, or silencers. Are records kept on purchases between individuals?
No.
Justice for
So
the
if you buy
goose.
something on the street, is there going to be a record?
No.
If you buy something from a friend or someone you know, is that going to be on record?
No.
And
So
are you
she
familiar with some like
She wants us to believe that Donald Hartung just went to some random street corner in Miami or wherever the hell he's like, hey, bud, you got a silencer? I can give you a love potion in exchange for a silencer, which, of course, as we know, would be more properly referred to as a suppressor. But yeah, so he's just like going around asking people if they happen to have silencers. Oh yeah, freeze. They're good. Throw them in your cereal. Throw them on some ice cream. Just suck on them. Freeze-dried strawberries are awesome.
makeshift type silencers?
Yes.
What can you use as a makeshift type silencer?
As I said earlier, it can be
Alec Baldwin. He
anything that
silences people.
reduces the speed and velocity of the gas coming out. So I've known of
Pillows,
people using
pet bottles.
Coke bottles, air filters, fuel filters, anything like that.
Fuel filters is a good one.
It can, let's say, just slow down that gas coming out of the gun.
Thank you.
Briefly on the wonderful product.
Yes.
Freeze-dried strawberry.
Because of the specific and dangerous nature of silencers.
Question for the defense lawyer. What is dangerous about a silencer? What is inherently dangerous about a silencer? The silencer is not dangerous. It lends no more or no less danger to a firearm. It just makes it quieter so you can't hear someone being murdered with a gun. Well, you're going to have to move on because they mentioned the word suppressor once, and then they've gone back to silencer. So that's going to be the word of the day. But how on earth would a silencer be dangerous? But I don't think he's going to answer that question.
If I buy one and sell it to you, you have to get a tax stamp for it, right? And there's a record.
Yes, sir. You should have. You're supposed to have a tax stamp to buy a silencer.
It's not just like a gun where I could sell you a firearm if we both gun.
I've heard some really quiet
I would have
suppressors.
to let the government know I sold the silencer and to whom I sold it. Then you would have to get a tax stamp to show that you bought that with the same serial number that I sold.
I did not sell.
Yes, sir. To legally own, you'd have to have a tax stamp.
And to your knowledge, was there anything found at the crime scene that would be a bottle, an air cleaner, or anything else in any of the trash
Yeah, it doesn't make it completely silent, but I have heard some really quiet suppressors in my days. Especially like you get a good long one, it's like glass packed and things.
That would show that it was used as a silencer.
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
Any further?
No, sir.
Or you can step down, sir. The council approach.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will you get as close to that microphone as you can in front of you?
I can. Is this okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Will you
Have you ever like seriously get like a glass pack muffler and they're pretty damn cool.
state your name, please?
My full name is Seaborn Anderson Roddenberry Jr.
That's funny. Dude's also a zombie. He's also a Roddenberry, so it's like he's like a Star Trek zombie. Wow. Those are called muzzles, Ben. Those are called muzzles. They muzzle. You put muzzles on them.
And Mr. Roddenberry, what is your occupation?
I also have other names.
Okay. What are your other?
Oh no! This guy's got other names, and he's like, my name is Roddenberry. I'm like, okay, Mister. No, but wait, I'm not done. I still got other names. Yeah, Methuselah may be one of them. Hang on, let me update the banner here. Banners, hide that one and put the Roddenberry. What? We still haven't figured out what Roddenberry does yet, though. So we should probably find out what Roddenberry does before we put up the banner. But first, before he tells us what he does, he's got to tell us what all of his. This is like an old dude that has aliases. What kind of old dude has aliases? Hang on, we got to go back. Oh, no, I mussed it up. Hang on, let me recenter. There we go. Oh my God, let's see what aliases he has here. I keep forgetting we can't just like go back. Like there we go.
Junior.
And Mr. Roddenberry, what is your occupation?
I also have other names.
Okay. What are your other names?
Okay. I do all my legal work as S.A. Roddenberry Jr., and that's the way I am at my law firm. And my nickname is Andy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All of that just to say you can call me Andy. Dude. So this is a lawyer that has like 5 names and wants to be known as, just say, this is my name. You can call me Andy. Oh, Lord.
Thank you, sir. You said that you have a law firm, so can we assume you're a lawyer?
I am.
All right. And how long have you been practicing?
833 years.
A little over 48 and a half years.
Jesus.
And what type of law do you do?
I started out with a law firm, and I was with them about 5.5 years.
Okay.
And during that time, we did a lot of real estate, wills, probate, and that kind of thing in the civil practice.
God, I've been doing it like 29 years, and I'm ready to put a damn bullet through my head, metaphorically.
And what about
in
after
Minecraft.
the law firm?
After the law firm, I pretty much now just do wills, power of attorneys for business and medical, and deeds, that kind of thing.
Okay. How many estates have you probated, or how many wills have you prepared in your career?
When I was with a law firm, and since I have prepared over 3,000.
This guy can be a good witness. I think he's the one that he must be. Clearly, he's got to be the guy that wrote the will for this, because that was one of the big contentions here, was that the motive for the murder was Hartung was written out of the will. And the defense said, no. Hartung Jr. was written out of the will. And the prosecution says, well, it was a typo. So this guy can clarify a lot regarding who specifically was the one that was supposed to have been written out of the will. Okay, this guy might be more important than I gave him credit for originally.
1,000 wills.
3,000 wills. Okay.
And as far as probates, since I left the law firm, I have completed 936 probates.
just how do you know exactly
Mr.
936?
Roddenberry,
probate?
did you prepare a will for Von Seal Smith?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, here we go.
And did she have a nickname that she preferred?
She liked to be called by the nickname of Bonnie.
And when did you prepare
Okay, yeah. If my name was Von Seal, I'd probably go for Bonnie too.
Bonnie's will?
Her will was signed on January 9 of 2009.
Okay. And when you prepared her will back then, did you take notes?
I took some notes when she came in for a meeting, and she came in with her then husband, Richard A. Smith.
Okay.
And I took some fairly good notes, I do believe.
Very good. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 383. If you'll just take a look at that and see if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
And is that the will that you prepared for Bonnie in 2009?
It is.
Judge, at this time, I'd move it into evidence. It's also certified by the clerk. Now, Mr. Roddenberry, did Bonnie exclude anyone from that will?
Well, basically, if I could just say, she was married, first of all.
Answer the
We'll get to that.
question.
Okay.
Answer the
But
question,
did she
lawyer.
exclude anybody in that will?
She basically left everything to two sons and said she made no provision in the will for the defendant in this case, Donald Wayne Hartung.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this.
What was the exact wording? What was the exact wording of the will, my friend? Get there first.
Have Donald Wayne Hartung Jr.
Yes.
in there. And what can you tell us about that?
Okay, so that's what she just said. She said, okay, but the will says Donald Hartung Jr. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the way that I did that was an error on my part, because the last paragraph of the will, paragraph 9, she said, I've intentionally made no provision herein for the benefit of my son, and S-O-N, Donald Wayne Hartung Jr. And by mistake, I put Jr. there, but it was for her son. And that was not for lack of love or affection, but because he has sufficient assets of his own, and I have made ample provision for him during my lifetime.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that pretty much takes he left them out of the will off the table. I think it did the opposite of what she wanted to do. I mean, maybe because it'll be, well, it does resolve the problem, I think, of why it says Donald Hartung Jr. I think that part hurts the defense, because he did make it, he did make it clear that she had said that she makes no provision for her son. She makes no provision for her son, and then he accidentally added the junior. I think that takes that argument off the table. But I also think it kind of takes a lot of he's angry because he was written out of the will for motivation purposes, because it wasn't malicious. She was saying, look, I got two deadbeats. One has mental issues and works at Walmart. The other's an IT guy for Homeland Security. They clearly don't make enough money. So, but Hartung is good at whatever the hell it was that he does. So, yeah. If it would have said, I hate his ass, and he's a deadbeat, shiftless, no good son of a bitch of a son, so therefore I'm writing him out of my will, then that might make you a little more angry. But my son is successful and doesn't need any of my hoarder home money. But that's what the prison snitch said, that apparently he stole, what was it, $300,000 to $500,000 in cash from the safe.
And did you review your notes to make sure that it was her son she was excluding and not her grandson?
Yeah, that was clearly her son. There.
Oh, and again, Claire Richards, yeah, but he's still her son. Surely she should have left him something. Nope. Writing people out of wills is an absolute common thing. That's very, very, very common. I mean, normally, you would write a will to try to avoid probate and the government taking a huge mother effing chunk of it away. But I mean, you could just die without a will if you didn't really care, and it would just be divided up according to how it's divided under the particular relevant statute. But if you want to make sure someone doesn't get anything of yours, you need a will. So yeah, writing people out of wills is freaking common.
Error was on my part by putting Junior.
Okay.
She intended to exclude Donald Wayne Hartung, her son.
Okay. Now, in the will, Bonnie also did not provide for her grandson, correct?
That is correct.
Now, do you know if
Exactly, Karen.
who was her husband when they came in 2009?
Her husband was Richard A. Smith.
Okay. And did Mr. Richard
Stephen
A.
A.
Smith
Smith?
predecease her?
Yes, he actually died on January 21, 2012.
Okay. Now, Mr. Roddenberry, you are aware now that Bonnie and her two sons, Richard and John, are deceased, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So who is the sole heir at law to those three estates?
The sole heir at law would be her living son, Donald Wayne Hartung.
Okay. Now, if her son, Donald Wayne Hartung, was disqualified, then who is the next qualified heir?
That would be his children.
Okay.
And as far as
Oh wait, so the two half brothers he murdered doesn't sound like they were half brothers. Perhaps that is because if they fucking property law. I'll tell you, if anybody and I'm sure Ozzy Overlord and Karen Cole can. Property law is like the worst subject you can study in law school. It's the most ridiculously difficult subject just because of all of the exceptions and possibilities and things. Now, if it's something like heirs of her body, if Donald Hartung, the defendant, is the only heir of her body, which means the only heir that she gave birth to, then he would get 100% of it through intestacy if she didn't have a will. But if she had half brothers from another guy, those would also be the heirs of her body. So it's sounding like the two half brothers were step brothers, not half brothers. Oh, so difficult. I split it into 3 courses in my law school. Yeah, here's the deal. $100 to anybody that can coherently to only one person. No, that's a joke offer, by the way. It's not a real offer. It's not a binding offer. But like one thing in law that like the rule against perpetuities, nobody can explain to anybody what that really means. It's a big thing in property law, but nobody can explain it. But yeah, so it's sounding like I just went through this is based on blood. Yeah, so it sounds like the two brothers that he allegedly murdered were step brothers and not half brothers. Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I thought too. That's what I thought. I thought, that I thought that was the case, but apparently, Bernice, you're leaving us. Oh, you're going to make me cry. Don't leave, Bernice. Come back soon and join us for Effing Friday if you're not coming back for the rest of the day. So, all right. Huh. I was able to win a case because of laws. If a property has been in the family over 100 years, spouse has no interest. Oh, interesting. Cool. Huh. All right. Well, this is interesting because I guess I got to rethink this. They've just been calling them half brothers. Yeah. So they weren't his mom's bio children. I thought they had the same mom, different dads. So that's what I thought. But if he's saying that at law, Donald Hartung is the only heir, it looks to me like they're half brothers. They're not half brothers. They're step brothers. All right, I'm going to go back a few minutes and just listen to this again. I'm going to go back. How far am I going to go back? I'm going to go back 3 minutes or so. Huh. Fascinating. In England, a stepchild has equal rights provided parents were still married. Well, the husband predeceased her, so she would get 100% of his stuff, and none of the kids would get it, and all of his stuff would become her stuff. And so, anyway, I hate property law.
But because he has sufficient assets of his own, and I have made ample provision for him during my lifetime.
Okay. And did you review your notes to make sure that it was her son she was excluding and not her grandson?
Yeah, that was clearly her son. The error was on my part by putting Junior.
Okay, and again, this as I think it was Hayden Nazi Overlord that mentioned it here a little bit earlier. This is the reason why keeping your notes is important.
Okay.
She intended to exclude Donald Wayne Hartung, her son.
Okay. Now, in the will, Bonnie also did not provide for her grandson, correct?
That is correct.
Now, do you know if who was her husband when they came in 2009?
Her husband was Richard A. Smith.
Okay. And did Mr. Richard A. Smith predecease her?
Yes, he actually died on January 21, 2012.
Okay. Now, Mr. Roddenberry, you are aware now that Bonnie and her two sons, Richard and John, are deceased, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So,
okay. All right. All right. I missed that part. Duh. They're both deceased. So therefore, if Hartung didn't murder them, okay, they are half brothers. All right. Okay. Right, Janet. You are correct. I missed that sentence there. So yeah, that's the deal. They are half brothers. If she dies and they're both alive, and all three of them are still alive, then it gets distributed equally, essentially, between the three siblings. But if her and the two siblings are dead, then he would be the only legal heir. But here's the shit. Here's the shit about that. I would argue that if you can prove who died first, second, and third, then if the mother dies and son 1 and son 2 are both still alive, the instant she dies, it's arguable that her entire interest would go to the children. I guess it doesn't matter the order they die. So I was thinking that would be like if her husband and her child died at the same. Anyway, just forget I just said anything there. I hate thinking. I'm just thinking out loud. Never mind. If she goes, then it's all them. But again, if the two children were murdered first, and then she was murdered last, then he would be the sole heir. But if she dies first, then it's arguable that it would instantaneously revert. What's the word we use in property law? It would vest. The interest would vest in all three of the children. And then if the two brothers die, their children, if there are any, I don't think there's any, I don't think either of them had children, but if they did have children, then Hartung would get 1/3, and then dead child 1, that child, their children would get would have the 1/3 divided amongst them, and then murder victim number 2, his children would have his 1/3 divided up amongst them. Property law sucks. It just does.
Sole heir at law to those 3 estates.
The sole heir at law would be her living son, Donald Wayne Hartung.
Okay. Now, if her son Donald Wayne Hartung was disqualified, then who is the next qualified heir?
That would be his children.
Yes.
Okay.
And as far as I understand from my notes, she only had Donald Wayne Hartung only had one son, Donald Wayne Hartung Jr.
Okay.
Well, Louisiana is a whole different animal. Louisiana, they don't use precedent or previous judgments as controlling. Louisiana law is based on French law, which is the continental law system, which is a completely different animal than U.S. law. I mean, than common law. Okay, the continental law from like continental Europe is much different than English and American common law. Law sucks. See, this is what we were talking about yesterday with Hayden. This is why lawyers get paid ridiculous amounts of money to sort through all this crap.
Andre, those are all my questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Nosferatu.
Everybody, go check out Legal Minded friend Karen Cole.
So, Mr.
She's got a great
Roddenberry,
little channel over there. It's a super awesome channel. And she does
After
things like this. Make sure you go check her out
Richard
and
Smith,
subscribe.
the husband, died. Did Von Seal Smith come back to your office to change or amend her will?
No, it was not amended or changed.
Did she come back to your office?
She may have, I don't know from my notes. But there certainly were no changes or any additional information, except her husband had died and I had to take his will and put it on deposit with the court.
Okay.
He did a will simultaneous with her.
Okay. Now, when she came to see you and you said you prepared the will, is that correct?
I prepared the will for both Von Seal H. Smith and Richard A. Smith at the same time.
What
are you
do
talking
you
about?
do after the people come in and give you the information, correct?
That is correct initially for the
And then they
interview.
leave and you prepare the will and they come back to execute it.
That is
right?
correct.
And when you have people come back to execute the will, do they review it with you?
Well, they go over it and read it out in the reception room. And then when it is executed, only the person actually signing the will comes back, and the witnesses are myself, my legal assistant, Melinda Broom, and then one other person from outside that comes in as a witness.
But you review that will with each individual.
The one signing.
Yes, that's what I mean. The person who's signing the will, you review it with them.
Well, I say I review it with them. They read it, and if it's okay, they come back and sign it.
And you make sure that they understand it.
Well, they wouldn't sign it if they didn't understand it. I don't believe.
Sir, I'm just asking you the question. Do you verify that the people understand the will when you have them executed?
As far as I know, they understand it. Yes, sir.
And you check for errors in the will, do you not?
I do if I pick up on them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And in this case, Von Seal Smith signed the will you prepared for her.
See, this is an interesting thing. This is an interesting point. If you write something, and you are prone to miss typos and things like that, especially if you type something and then you just instantly reread it, you're prone to miss typographical errors. Because in your mind, you know what it's supposed to say, and people tend to overlook what it actually says. So that's why, like in my office, we have a 2-tiered system where, like, I write a letter, I wait 10-15 minutes before I send it, and I review it. And then I catch all the typos that I catch, and then it goes through a second level where someone else that knows nothing about it will read through the letter just to make sure there are no typos. And like every lawyer in my firm does that. It's just a fail safe. If you write settlement agreements and whatever, you write it, you proofread it, and then you send it to someone else to cold proofread it, because they tend to catch the things that you don't catch. That's just a little behind the scenes thing there.
Yes.
When she was there, were any of her children there?
I think her son, RT, may have come in with her. He goes by RT because his first name was Richard and his father's name was Richard, and he goes by RT. He may have come in with her just to bring her in, but he does not, he's not involved with being there when the will is signed.
That was going to be my next question. Do you notify, or did you notify her sons
sure.
of what was
No, Korean is an alphabet. It's not pictograms like Chinese. It's an alphabet. It's an actual real alphabet
contained
with
in
letters,
the will?
Consonants, and vowels, and the whole thing.
No, that is her job to do that.
Do you know if she did that?
I do not know.
When you prepare a will, do you put it in an envelope? Like some lawyers have special envelopes they put the wills in.
Now I put them in a pretty envelope, which is the original, and then I give them a signed copy of the will, fully executed in just a regular envelope, and it says copy on it.
Okay. Do you keep the original of the will at your office?
I do not.
Do you recommend what they do with the will?
I recommend that they take it home and put it in a safe deposit box at the house, or whatever they have, like a fireproof box. I do not recommend that they go and put it in anything at a bank or a credit union or savings and loan where they have safe deposit boxes. I recommend they keep them at home.
You recommend that they keep them in a safe, locked location. Is that correct?
That doesn't have to be locked. It just needs to be something fireproof. And usually it's a box where they keep their important papers. And a lot of times they put it in a closet and they may drill that into a stud or something, but it's available to anyone that can look in there.
Drill it into a stud. The stud's supposed to do the drilling. Like I know that like my dad's will is kept with the law firm that drafted it. So I mean, it's much safer to keep it with the law firm, but you just got to check because law firms can disappear. You got to keep track of your will.
There.
Okay. But you didn't give the information about the will to anyone.
About
the will. You didn't tell anybody about
No.
what the contents of the will were.
No, that's personal and private.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't let that information out to anybody. The only person that I would let that information out to is if the person signing it says, if there's any question about it, you can talk with my husband, but I did not do that.
And in this case, there was nobody for you to talk to about the will.
Well, just my client, Von
And
Seal
his
Smith.
notes.
Right.
Bonnie.
Other than her, you
His
didn't
note,
Correct.
his notes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You can step down. Okay. Yeah, you can just leave that there.
Okay.
You can step down whenever.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next?
Will you state your name, please?
Oh my Lord. Okay, this is exactly what your child would look like if Stephen King and Jack Black had sex and they conceived a child. This is the love child of Jack Black and Stephen King right here. Jeez. Wow. It's like Stephen King from the nose up with like the nose, the glasses, and the hair, and then it's like Jack Black, like the lips, the beard, and the mustache. Okay, so that's Stephen King and Steve Sean. No, come on, I can't remember. Don't do that. don't do that to Sean. It's not Timu Sean. That's mean. Jack person of color. Yeah, this is Stephen King from the nose up and Jack Black from the nose down. All right, let's go.
Mark Bailey.
And Mr. Bailey, do you know
Mark Bailey.
this defendant seated over here in between his lawyers?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Donald Wayne Hartung?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you know Mr. Hartung?
Through coworker, G4S Security.
Okay.
What?
In July of 2015, how long had you worked with him?
Approximately about 6 years, 7 years.
And what did you do for G4S?
I started as
G4S.
patrolling and ended up as dispatching them.
And what did Mr. Hartung do for G4S?
He drove security in the van during out of patrols, perimeter patrols.
G-Force Battle of the Planets.
Now, do you know what the average hourly pay at G4S was?
Mark, Jason,
$10 an
Tiny,
hour starting.
Princess, and Cheops. There's some old school anime, if any of you know Battle of the Planets, G4. Oh, there you go. See Winterstorm. You get 1,000 internet points with Repaired the Phoenix. Absolutely. Battle of the Planets reference there. See Winterstorm wins the internet tonight for that. I'm not the only old here.
How long did you work for G4S?
I worked for 8 years.
And were you guys, were you employees paid weekly, biweekly, monthly?
That would be by.
He's by?
And
What?
were you ever paid in cash or was it direct deposit?
No, ma'am, mine was direct deposit.
Hell yeah. That and Star Blazer.
Did you and Mr.
We
Hartung?
talked about Star Blazers and the Star Battleship Yamato last week too. So yeah, Battle of the Planet. That was like every day middle school. I would come home from middle school. I would whip up like a cup ramen and settle in to watch Battle of the Planets with Casey Kasem voicing Mark, the leader of G4.
Socialize outside of work.
No, ma'am.
What about at work?
Occasionally when we patrolled together, yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Now, did you invite Mr. Hartung to do things outside of work?
Invited him to go to range with me a few times. He declined each time.
Okay, when you say a range, what do you
Firing
mean?
range.
I'm sorry?
Firing range.
He didn't like his coworker Donald Hartung. He's
And why
looking
would
for
you
a
invite
reason
him to a firing
testify
range?
against him.
Interest in firearms and safety. I'm an instructor, and he was wanting just to get some out free time, I guess.
Okay. And did Mr. Hartung indicate that he owned any firearms?
We spoke of guns, but I haven't seen one with him.
Okay. And what kind of guns did you and Mr. Hartung speak of?
Mostly 9 millimeters.
Did he talk to you, he meaning Mr. Hartung, did he talk to you about his mom?
Talk to me like lovers
Taking care of
do.
her and cooking for her and just doing yard work and things like that. Maintenance and family things.
Did he talk to you about his brothers?
Some issues of sibling things like dislikes and likes, some arguments most of the time.
Okay. And what was the
Ooh,
nature
got
of
a
those likes
piece
and
of hot
dislikes?
ash in my mouth.
Most of those are about financial issues, not supporting, not helping much,
He felt like his brothers weren't helping much?
weren't helping much, no.
Right.
Now, did he ever tell you that his mom favored any
You and
one
me
of
gotta
the
be about the same
three of
age.
them?
That would be difficult to say. He's
Okay.
always seemed that he favored him.
All right.
Did he ever say anything about his older brother and where he worked?
Tell me they worked with Homeland Security. He was gone most of the time. And when he was there, he just didn't help much around the house and didn't help support with any of the food that they, he pushes food and grow and cook for them. And they seem to not do support and resupplying food, et cetera,
Okay.
and helping around the house.
Did Mr. Hartung give you the impression that he really was most supportive of his mom and not
Yes,
his
ma'am.
brothers?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Mr. Hartung ever talk to you about any financial problems he was having?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that?
Car. Yeah, fender
Yes.
damage on his car. Couldn't get that fixed.
Yes,
repaired.
smoking a pipe is way cheaper than
Some
cigarettes or
issues, maybe his
cigars,
paychecks.
and it's
Not being enough for him.
like exponentially cheaper.
I mean, I was having trouble with that too, but
Yes, sir. I understand. And do you know what kind of car Mr. Hartung drove?
Lincoln, I believe town car.
A man of
I'm not really
taste.
sure. I'll say Lincoln. Stick with that.
I'm sorry.
A Lincoln.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Did
no,
Mr.
I'm
Hartung
5'11".
talk to you about his mom or his family's financial status or situation?
He gave me the impression that she was pretty wealthy, and that they were living in a nice location.
Did he ever talk to you about what would happen if his mom passed away?
Yes, he said that if he got his share of the money, that he was going to quit G4S and retire.
I did an evil laugh. I didn't expect him to be laughing or smiling during this trial. I'll just have to insert the laughter myself. Old was like, I know. It's a funny little joke. I'm going to put a spell on you. But if he's a good Wiccan, he wouldn't be putting spells on people. You know, comes back to you like threefold or sevenfold, depending, you know, how you feel about it.
Those are my questions. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Aussie Tank has asked an irrelevant question. I just don't smoke cigarettes, but I think cigarettes now are about US $5 a pack here. I want to say. I think the last time I heard, but cigars are almost exactly the same price. Hayden, Aussie Overlord, and I have talked about this. Cigars are almost about the same price here as they are in Australia. It's about double the price, double the manufacturer suggested retail price of cigars. Pipe tobacco, I order my pipe tobacco from the States, so I haven't bought like pipe tobacco in Korea for ages. I just have no idea. I just get it all from fournoggins.com. You look delicious.
I am Dracula.
Oh God. See, smoke pipes, man, they're not addictive. And
Mr. Bailey, you said that you and Mr. Hartung worked together.
Yes, sir.
And are you aware that he got the Integrity Award at work?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Well, Thomas
you said that you would go to
that's a different story
shooting
altogether.
Range, the gun range, right?
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Hartung ever go with you?
Not with me, no, sir.
And you offered to take him.
Correct.
And this is over the 6 or 7 years you worked together?
I offered twice and he declined twice.
Okay. And did he ever say he had a gun?
He's always interested just calibers and what they can do, but he didn't say he directly had one.
Just
I
talked
haven't
about
seen
him?
one.
I said you all just talked about him?
Correct.
And he never told you he had one?
Not that I can remember.
Oh, Island, you're just you yourself are smoking.
Did he always talk about his mom in loving terms?
Yes, always.
Well, he didn't know.
And you said
he didn't
you
know
grasped
she'd been
about
written out
your
of the will.
paycheck?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did other employees that you knew grasp about their paychecks too?
No, we were told not to discuss paychecks with each other.
Okay.
Because then you find out you're being screwed and not making as much as your fellow employees, and then that causes contention.
Other than needing to get his town car fixed, was there anything else he complained about with money?
Not that I can remember, no,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Any further?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Thank you. Free to go, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your patience, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will
Who are you?
state your name, please?
William Black,
And Mr. Black, where are you employed?
the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Tallahassee.
Isn't this the guy that just testified 2 witnesses ago, or is it his clone? He's got the same like hedgehog haircut. This is like a clone of the guy who testified 2 witnesses ago. And I didn't even hear his name because I don't care.
Regional Crime Lab.
Okay, and what do you do for FDLE?
I'm a crime laboratory analyst in the firearms section.
How long have you been doing that?
We'll just
I
call him
completed
Crime
my
Lab.
training for that just over 5 years ago.
And tell the jury your education.
Okay, first of all, I want to review what Stephen King Jack Black. So his whole testimony was we talked about guns before, and I asked him to go to the range, and he declined both times. That's kind of the whole gist of his. Why was he on the stand? What was? I mean, he didn't know if Hartung owned any guns or not. He offered to take him to the range. He said no twice. He loved his mother. Not the greatest prosecution witness. That was a big giant L for the prosecution there.
Education, training, and experience to hold your position.
I have a bachelor's degree in physics from Florida Atlantic University. And
Have you studied forward though? That's my question. You may have a bachelor's degree in physics, but have you studied forward?
with FDLE for my position, I completed an 18-month training program throughout which my competency was tested in the form of written and practical examinations. The training included 6 months of supervised casework and visitation of several firearm manufacturing facilities.
Okay, he did.
How many examinations?
He couldn't say he had money issues because he said, we're not supposed to talk about our paychecks. Yeah.
Have you conducted in your field?
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Have you testified as an expert before in your field?
Yes,
Approximately how many times?
approximately 35.
Could have been. I don't think he studied forward. I don't believe him.
I'm giving you States Exhibit 339 and 340. You'll just take a look at those and see if you recognize them.
Tom Colby, why are you trying to start shit in my chat? Pepsi or Coke? Why are you trying to start a battle? Nick Starro, me raid.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and how do you recognize them?
By the unique FDLE case number, exhibit number, and my initials in my handwriting.
Okay. Now, were you asked to examine each of the?
Slick So Famous TV, how did you get here? Because you made all the right decisions in your life. Every decision you have made in your life up to this point led you to this channel. That's how you ended up here. It's the higher powers. It's whatever God or higher being you happen to believe in has led you to my channel. That's why you're here. There's no getting around it. It's divine intervention that led you here. Sit back, smash that subscribe button, and enjoy the trial of Donald Hartung, the Wiccan witch who has been accused of murdering his half-brothers and his mother in a ritualistic and or witchcraftic manner. So there you go. That's how you got here. Or you could have got here with a Nick raid, one of the two. Nick Starro raid could have got you here. Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, so transported here from Nick. Well, see, Nick looks like God. Nick Starro looks like God. He has that very godlike, he's larger than most human beings, and he has the big godlike bushy white beard. And he's in tune with the old gods, the old Norse gods. So yeah.
Those exhibits.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to take States Exhibit 339 first. What is that?
It is an apparent fired bullet core.
Okay. And what is a fired bullet core?
Many bullets are jacketed, meaning that there is an outer layer of metal, typically copper, brass, or steel, surrounding a core, which is typically made out of lead. It's not uncommon for a core and jacket to separate from each other after striking an object.
Okay. And what kind of exam did you do on that core?
Well, subscribe and the fear will go
and
away.
I also weighed it.
Okay. And what can you tell the jury about?
And by the way, for those of you who don't know, that are joining and don't know, this is a trial from 2020. It's our retro trial Thursday, which we do every Thursday. This is part 9. You don't need to see the previous 8 parts to figure out what's going on. But I believe one of our next few witnesses is going to be a Wiccan high priest, because we're running out of witnesses.
States Exhibit 339.
It is of no value for microscopic comparison.
And why not? What does that mean?
Well, when a jacketed bullet travels through the barrel of a firearm, the jacket being the outer layer is what's making contact with that surface. So the marks left by the firearm that are used for identification purposes are left on the jacket. The core doesn't touch the firearm.
Thank you, Sylvie.
Now, what is States Exhibit 340?
340 is a one fired bullet jacket.
Okay. And what is a fired bullet jacket?
It's the outer layer of a jacketed bullet.
And what type of exam did you do on that?
Thank you, Mr. Tautological statement. What? It's a jacketed bullet because the bullet is jacketed. Thank you very much, physics major.
Visually inspected it. I weighed it. I measured the diameter of its base in order to determine the caliber class.
He measured the girth.
And I also examined its rifling impressions.
He measured the girth. He measured the girth and examined the veins. That's what he did. He took the jacketed round and he measured the girth and studied the veins.
Firearms other than shotguns have what's known as rifling in their barrels. Rifling refers to a series of grooves that are either cut or formed,
otherwise known as
interior
the
surface
veins,
of the barrel in a spiral fashion in order to impart spin to the projectile. After a bullet is fired, it's left with impressions that coincide with that particular firearm's rifling. This jacket displayed
the cutter wads,
evenly spaced impressions that lean to the left, meaning that it was fired from a firearm with 3 grooves that twist to the left.
Okay. And then what can you tell
he dresses
the
to
jury
the
about
left.
that fired bullet?
So he studies the girth and the veins, and he dresses to the left. We're all right. We're getting it here. We're getting the picture.
Jacket.
It is 38 caliber class, which includes 38 special, 357 Magnum, 9mm Luger, and it displays rifling characteristics consistent with 9mm Luger caliber pistols by High Point.
Now, is a high point designed to eject a casing each time it's fired?
Yes.
Okay. And what is a casing?
Oh shit! I saw it, but I forgot to respond.
Cartridge
Thank you for
casing or
reminding me.
cartridge case is the outer shell of a unit of ammunition. That unit is called a cartridge. It's what holds all the components together until the cartridge has been fired.
Okay. And what happens if the case fails to extract or eject?
If for any reason a cartridge case fails to extract or eject,
it happens to the best of us. So you just need to get in better physical condition. You need to cut down on the alcohol a little bit, maybe cut down on the greasy foods a bit, get a little exercise going, and then your failure to eject problems should decrease.
It could be left stuck in the chamber or jammed in the action of the firearm.
Now, are states 339 and 340, are they consistent with one another? In other words, that they could go together?
Well, we have no procedure for identifying a particular core to a particular
rimfire,
but there were no
Never mind.
indications present that they couldn't be part of the same bullet. Specifically, the core didn't seem too big or too obviously small to go with the jacket, and they both displayed, they're both consistent.
The jokes write themselves in this case. And again, aside from all the 12-year-old girth and length and dressing left to right and shaft and all this other shit we're joking about, in case you missed the first 8 episodes, earlier today we had Detective Infinger. Coxwell is the other investigator. We've had investigator Coxwell, investigator Infinger, both testifying how they had to go in the rear entrance. They had to enter through the rear because the front door was locked. So Coxwell and Infinger, they entered through the rear. And the jokes in this case just write themselves.
With being components of a hollow point bullet.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Those are all my questions.
You're welcome.
Mr. Griffin?
Get him, defense lawyer. As long as we're talking about witchcraft, get him on this voodoo bullet reading shit he's just been talking about.
Hello, Mr. Black.
Hello.
I'm finally going to get out of here after this.
He's this black. Oh, we've got Sarah Palin trying. Oh, you can't see Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin's laughing at the witty comment about you're about to get out of here. Meanwhile, Mr. Pistachio Ice Cream is still listening to his Beats by Dre headphones.
You said that what you have is a core and a jacket. Is that correct?
Yes.
A projectile and a jacket.
Yeah, a fired bullet jacket and a apparent fired bullet core.
And when you were talking about the cartridge, that's the back end or the brass part of most bullets that contain the powder and the other mechanisms that make a bullet fire. Is that
The cartridge case, yes, they're typically brass, but most often they're brass.
Cartridge in a pear tree.
Is there a word lands and grooves?
In
Yes.
voodoo, there is.
Rifling?
Yes.
What are you said the grooves are the circling part that is found on the projectile. What are the lands?
Well, lands and grooves are both in the barrel of the firearm. The grooves are the part that's been either cut or formed into that interior surface, and the land is just refers to the space in between each of those grooves. So when
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So when a bullet picks up rifling impressions from the firearm, it's the lands that are actually making the impressions on the projectile.
You said in this particular case, the projectile had 3 grooves that were left leaning.
3 impressions that were left leaning.
Do any other firearms make that?
I'm not aware of any. I consulted the general rifling characteristic database maintained by the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners. The only
Again, this tool marking shit is like I said, it's more voodoo than the voodoo that the prison snitch was saying he was practicing. Ugh.
38 caliber class firearm with 3 left rifling in that database is a 9mm Luger caliber high point model C9 pistol. Also, in my own experience, the only firearms with 3 left rifling that I've encountered were high point 9mm Lugers.
Now, High Point is a manufacturer. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
They kind of like Browning, Winchester, Kimber, all those different kinds. Is that right?
It's a maker of firearms.
And on this particular firearm, it would be what we would call a semi-automatic.
How the fuck can you tell that? How can you tell it's a semi-automatic from the tool markings? Get out of here.
And you said that if the projectile is fired, that the casing will be ejected. Is that right?
In a semi-automatic pistol,
Okay.
they are designed to automatically eject a fired cartridge case after each shot.
And that's different than a revolver that has the circular mechanism that
Wouldn't the
keeps
Coriolis effect make a
cartridge,
cut to the left?
in the revolver, right?
That's right. Revolvers have a cylinder with several chambers, and the fired cartridge cases remain in those chambers until they are extracted manually.
When a semi-automatic pistol is fired, the cartridge is always expelled if it's operating properly, correct?
For the most part.
And because if you don't find the cartridge, that doesn't mean the semi-automatic pistol misfired or malfunctioned. It just means that cartridge is missing, either lost or somebody picked it up. Is that correct?
It's possible.
With all of this being said, do those 2 exhibits tell you who fired that projectile?
No.
You have no idea of knowing.
No.
No.
I don't have anything further. Thank you, sir.
Anything further?
No objection.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Before you go, second.
All right. Well, that's the. Now this. Wait. What the hell? This is a very surprised looking witness. He's like, "Oh my God, am I really on the witness stand?" This is a surprised witness. Who the hell is this guy? This is. Who is this guy? This is, let me check my thing here. Oh, the defendant's son. This is Donald Hartung Jr. Okay. And he's testifying for the prosecution? Holy shit snacks. This could be interesting. And he testifies for, wow. So we have 3 witnesses in the next 15 minutes. All right, this should be really, really interesting. So we have 3 witnesses in the next 15 minutes, and these are prosecution witnesses. And so he's testifying for, all right. I'm intrigued here. Let me update this real quick here. The banner. I didn't even put up the banner for that dude. That was weird. for crime scene guy. All right. Defendant's son. Weird. All right. Defendant's son takes the stand. Okay. Save that and flash it up. And let's see. While we're here, do we have anything to? Do we have any super chats or anything to read? I don't think so, but let's see. No, we don't. All right. We do have JKD Buck saying, "Has this Southern man said might could yet?" We say that in Utah too. Well, he might could have done that. All right. Let's see what the defendant's son has to say for the prosecution, shall we? It'd be easier to hear him if we turned the audio on, huh?
State your full name, please.
Donald Wayne Hartung Jr.
And Mr. Hartung, how old are you?
40.
And in which state do you live?
Virginia.
Dude's got a great voice. I like his voice. He doesn't sound like the son of a murderer at all.
On and off my whole life.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm in the U.S. Army.
Thank you for your service.
Pandering.
Are you related to Donald Hartung Sr.?
Yes.
Donald Hartung Jr. has no relation whatsoever to Donald Hartung Sr. Good question, prosecutor. Good question. That was a necessary question.
And is he seated over there at the table with his attorneys?
Yes.
What is your relationship to him?
He's my father.
Oh, Jesus. Prosecute. Come on. You have to ask some dumb questions to sort of lay the foundation for the rest of his testimony, but asking if the junior is related to the senior and then asking him what their relationship is, then you're just thinking the jury's a bunch of assholes. I'm sorry.
So that would make Von Seal Smith your
grandmother.
Okay. And John Smith and Richard Smith were your
uncles.
Okay. Did John or Richard ever marry?
No.
Did they ever have any children?
No.
Yes, correct.
In summer of 2015,
You are correct.
Did you learn of your grandmother and your uncle?
But if you need to practice, now's the time to do it. But yeah, tomorrow's the big day.
Uncle's deaths.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay. And who notified you?
I was actually notified by Donald Sr.
Do you remember when the call was made in relation to when the bodies were found?
I'd say within a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Prior to that phone call from Donald Sr., when was the last time you had spoken to your father?
Probably the previous around Thanksgiving, Christmas time frame, that general area.
Okay.
So
Now,
one
did
to
you
2
have
months before
regular
the
contact
murder.
with your dad at that time?
Not really, no. Maybe every 6 months or so.
Okay, why not?
Well, no, we just didn't really talk that much. Weren't that close.
This is like me and my son. My son's 24 years old. So about every 3 weeks or so, I send him a message just checking if he's still alive. We're just not a talky family, but we still love each other. So let's see if they're the same way here.
Did you have an issue getting a hold of him sometimes as well?
Yeah, he phone was always cut off. Different phone number. Usually they have to call RT to be able to get a phone number in order to even call him.
Who's RT?
When is the last time you physically saw your father?
When I was 17 years old.
Oh, God. Okay, never mind.
Now, he and your mother are divorced, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. They were married at one time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And how old were you when they divorced?
15-ish.
And have you been close to your father since then?
No.
Wow.
When your father called you about the deaths of your grandmother and your uncles, what did he say?
When I got the call, the wording was, let me think for a second.
Sure, take your time.
He said, "Son, they're all dead." I was like, it's kind of weird. What are you talking about? He's like, they're all dead. Your grandmother, RT, and John. They're all dead. That's how I found out.
Okay.
Damn.
And did he say anything about himself?
I believe that during that phone call is the first time I was told that he did not have anything to do with it.
Okay. And had you questioned whether he had anything to do with it, or how did that come up?
No, I didn't question it at all.
Did you question why he was saying that?
What do you mean?
He said, your family's dead. I didn't do it. Right?
Yeah, well, he said they were dead, and he went into a little bit of the reason, that something had happened with them in the house. Possibly they were murdered, and then we may have talked about some other stuff. I don't know.
Possibly they were murdered. Possibly they were murdered. What would give him the idea that they'd been murdered? The fact that they were all three of them sitting in pools of blood in different sections of a sealed up house at the end of July, and 4 years previously to this, and they were under piles of clothes and cushions, and there was a knife embedded in the sofa. Could that possibly have indicated that they may have been murdered? Wow. All right.
But that came up in the conversation. Yeah.
That he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you hadn't questioned him at that point.
No.
Okay. Now, prior to their deaths, when was the last time you had spoken to either your grandmother or Richard?
I think it was May.
It's about 10 months.
Did you talk to your grandmother or Richard?
8 months. No. Shit.
Often, not often?
Oh, sorry.
About
3 months.
The same general amount.
3 months.
I probably talk to them a little more often, about 3-4 times a year.
Now, was there some sort of rift between your grandmother, Richard, and John, you, and your father?
Can you phrase that for me again? You're talking about between me and them, or him and them? What
I'm
are you
talking
referring to?
about them and him.
You're talking about from when I was a child?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was a situation with John when I was a kid. He exposed himself to me when I was a child, and I brought it up to my mom probably a couple of days later, and because of that, a rift had formed between them. I don't think I was a kid at the time, so I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but I know they didn't talk for a good period of time.
Okay, so that is corroborating the evidence we heard last week. That there had been. This was from the prison snitch that said the defendant Donald Hartung had said that his uncle had that his son had been witness to his uncle exposing himself. So all right, that was brought up as part of the partial motivation for the murder, was that one of his half brothers had exposed himself to his son. So, yeah.
Okay.
And I know at some point in time, everybody moved to Pensacola. My grandparents, and John RT and all them.
Okay. And I apologize. You said that John exposed himself to you.
Yes.
When you were a child.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
and you told your dad?
I told my mom about it.
Okay. And then did your mom tell your dad?
Yes.
Okay. And then did dad go to your grandmother?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then whose side did your grandmother appear to take?
Oh, she took John's side. It's pretty obvious.
Do you remember about how old John was at the time?
I'd like to say they're 10 to 12 years older than me. So if I was 4-ish, they would have been teenagers at that point in time.
Teenagers as in like mid-teens?
Yeah, mid-teens, 15, 16. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, I understand. And I'm sorry to bring it up. Did that incident seem to separate your father from the other three?
Yes.
Now, going back to 2015, sorry to jump around. Did your father bring that situation up with John?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the nature of that conversation?
So I got a call, and the call actually started with him saying, "You remember a long time ago when you were a little boy?" And I was like, "Where are you going with this?" He's like, "You remember a long, long time ago when you're a little boy, a situation with Johnny?" And then it clicked. I was like, "Why? Why would I actually forgot about it at that point in time?" I was like, "Why are you telling me about this?" He's like, and then that's when he went into the explanation that about the Walmart thing, where he thought that he had heard from an investigator, maybe from the Department of Defense or something, that John may have did something at a Walmart. I guess it was kind of backing up, reinforcing the fact that he's maybe a predator or something like that.
Okay.
And that's how it's basically explained to me.
When did you have that conversation with him in relation to the murders of your family?
Before he got arrested. So it would have been within that 2-month period of time.
Okay, so yeah, so he was the defendant was arrested like 2 months after the murders happened.
Were Bonnie, RT, and John close?
Oh yeah, yeah, they lived together as far as I can remember.
Okay. And what about your father? Where did he fit into that picture?
I think initially he was, this is going back way farther than I can really remember, but I know he originally was with him and then he ended up marrying my mom. And then there was a little bit of rift initially between my mom and my grandmother.
Okay.
But then I think they reconciled and started going over again. And then the situation with Johnny happened. And then of course there was another split.
Okay.
So he's always kind of like it seemed like he was kind of the black sheep of the group over there. He was always separated from the rest of them and stuff until him and my mom got divorced. And he lived at the ocean front of Virginia Beach by himself for a little while. And then he moved down to Pensacola, which surprised me, but he moved down here.
Okay. Was your dad a chess player?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, weird, irrelevant question.
Was he good?
All right.
As far as I can tell, he taught RT, and RT was like the chess champion or something like that. So, yeah.
Now,
Weird question.
Mr. Hartung, are you currently a party to the litigation of Bonnie, John, and RT's estates?
Yes.
And at this point,
He's
who is
still in to
the
get some
sole
money.
heir to their 3 estates?
Donald Sr.
Okay. And do you know the what is your understanding of the estimated value of that estate?
Somewhere around 800-ish thousand.
Oh my God.
Okay. Now,
That shitty house in like Hoarderville, USA. $800,000. Maybe there was $500,000 squirreled away in the safe that they found. Jeebus. Holy cow. All right. So he wants a piece of it. Apparently he's involved in the litigation. He's, spoiler alert, if you actually murdered somebody, you don't get their will. You're part of the will.
if your father is disqualified from inheriting the estates, who becomes the next qualified?
As the next in line, it's me.
Yeah. He wants
Now, did your grandmother Bonnie contribute to you during your lifetime?
They sent me a care package when I was in Iraq once, but that's
it.
That's about it.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Bridge?
Wow, that was actually really interesting testimony. All right. Let's see where the defense goes with this. Holy cow.
Mr. Hartung, my name's Michael Griffith. I represent your dad.
Your dad.
I don't think we've spoken before.
Oh, we have on the phone.
Did we speak?
We did speak when it very first happened.
Okay.
You called me.
Now, you said your dad seemed to be the black sheep.
That's right.
was, and you listed 2 incidents. He was the black sheep because he married your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then he became the black sheep after John exposed himself and you brought it to your mom's attention.
That's correct.
And those are the only 2 times you know that he had a rift with his mother and brothers.
That I personally know, yes. I've been told other things by my mother from before that.
What
but
you personally know.
personally know, yes.
Okay. And then, unfortunately, he and your mom divorced.
Yes.
And a few years after that, did he move back to Pensacola?
Yes.
And is it your understanding that if your dad gets convicted in this case, then you inherit the fund?
There's the impeachment right there. If your father's acquitted, you get nothing. If dad goes to jail, you get $800,000, right? So you have 800,000 reasons why your dad should go down for this, right? And you would doctor your testimony. You would craft your testimony in such a way that would guarantee you get $800,000, right? Yeah, this is where the impeachment lies. Not good questioning. Good questioning by the defense. I'll give him that.
Funds.
Yes.
I can see clearly now the rain.
And when he spoke to you about the incident that happened by telephone when you were 4 or 5, I think you said?
Right, yeah.
Did he you said Department of Defense, was it Homeland Security that had contacted him about John?
I don't remember details. Department of Navy, Homeland Security, something along those lines. Because I know that's where RT worked, and he was talking about that group.
And they had contacted your dad about John at Walmart?
Yes.
Okay. So he was telling you what he had been contacted by the government agency?
Yeah, he was telling me that was the theory.
And you've hired an attorney to represent you?
Yes.
In the probate action?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that was short and to the point. That was very much to the point.
You have a seat. You're still under oath.
State your name for the record,
So this is a recall witness.
please.
Kevin Palamino.
Mr. Palamino, when you were in Pensacola in August of 2015, did you ever tell this defendant, Donald Hartung, that you were investigating his brother for anything at Walmart?
I did not.
And
This is a Homeland Security guy, so we just get the midriff shot. You may recall this midriff. There was a couple of midriff people. One had much larger bosoms than the other. This is the one without the bosoms. Homeland Security can't show his face.
were you investigating his brother, John, for anything at Walmart?
I was not.
I don't have any other questions.
That was brief.
Sir, you can't speak for any other agents or any other federal agencies, can you?
I cannot.
Okay. You don't know what they may have done.
I could not tell you that.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Good afternoon, and you're still under oath. Please be seated.
All right, she's still under oath, so this is another recall witness.
Can you state your name for the record?
George Jacobe.
And Mr. Jacobe, while you
JJ Henry says, is there a review stream? I missed how we got to Wiccan Priest. We haven't got to the Wiccan Priest yet. We just heard earlier today, we heard the reference to the Wiccan Priest. They're saying that the lead investigator, Mr. Infinger, apparently, went to looked to see if there was a Wiccan high priest in the area, and he found a Wiccan high priest and priestess. The actual witness of the Wiccan priest, of the Wiccan high priest, is probably coming up very, very soon. We are running out of witnesses, and we haven't seen them yet. So stay tuned.
You were in Pensacola in August of 2015. Did you ever tell this defendant that you were investigating his brother John for anything at Walmart?
No, I did not.
Were you investigating John
We're
for
not.
anything at Walmart?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, you can't speak for any other agents, can you?
I cannot.
And you can't speak for any other agencies.
I cannot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That was dumb, but all right.
All right, any more testimony today?
Yes, sir.
All right, members of the jury, luckily it's real nice out today, so you're going to get off a little early today, and the state will be completing their case Monday, just to let you know.
All right. We got one more day of the prosecution witness. So that begs the question, is the Wiccan high priest going to testify for the prosecution or the defense? We'll find out tomorrow. But,
Know where we're at.
well, here's the deal. People here in chat, I got nothing to do. I have to stay awake for another hour and a half because I have to make a 2 a.m. my time phone call to the States for work. We can go another 30 minutes or so if you want. Put a 1 in chat if you want to keep going. Put a 2 in chat if you just want to shut it down. 1 for continue, 2 for shut it down. No, a Wiccan warlock is different than a witch. Males can be witches. A man can be a Wiccan witch. A warlock is like a completely different thing. All right. Well, looks like we want more too. Who was it? Brenda, you're the only 2. Come on, Brenda, change your mind. Brenda, it's you against the world, Brenda. This is your chance. Brenda, change your vote to 1. Join us. Join us. One of us. One of us. One of us. All right. One's have. Okay, there you go, Brenda. Good for you. Oh, what a cute little kitty cat. All right. So there you go. Flux, who is unable to live chat because she has really crappy internet at her office, just texted me 69 Lamau. Thanks for that, Flux. I appreciate that. All right, everybody there's not a single 2 now that Brenda changed her vote. So all right, let's go. Yes, Jennifer says a warlock is an oath breaker. Any questions you have regarding Wiccan witches and or warlocks in general, Janet Burris is here in chat to answer all of your questions. All right, here we go. Then let's let him wrap up the day, and then we'll start in with the next witness is a crime lab analyst, and she goes for 2.5 hours. So we'll take 30 minutes today, and then she will take the entire time next week. All right, let's wrap up with this dude here.
So again, over the weekend, do not have any contact with information about the case. Don't watch anything.
And Sir Frank Otter can also answer your questions, apparently.
And with that, thanks again for your dedication, and we will see you Monday morning, be here at 8:45.
Oh, they finished early, 3 p.m. All right. Oh, we have prosecutor Glenn Campbell again today. Oh, we have more people in the courtroom today. Agra is back. I wonder who Agra is, because Agra is here every day. We've got Agra, and I think that's Natalie Wisco over there, if you know Natalie Wisco. Not sure who Zeke is back here, but all right, there we go. Oh, it helps if we have audio, huh?
Wilkerson, Wilkerson.
Wilkerson. This is Jennifer Wilkerson, crime lab analyst. She's taking the stand, and apparently she's one of the last prosecution witnesses because they're going to wrap up today court time. And like I said, we've probably got another 4 to 5 weeks in this, not 45, 4 or 5 weeks left in this trial, and then we're going to do something different on Thursdays.
Were you employed?
I'm a crime laboratory analyst with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement in both the biology and crime scene sections.
And what does a crime laboratory analyst do in the biology section?
I examine items of evidence for the presence of body fluids like blood, semen, or saliva.
Ew.
I also will swab items for skin cells that were left behind from a person that touched or wore that item. I will then take that on and develop a DNA profile, and then I will compare that DNA profile to other DNA profiles in the case.
How long have you been doing this?
I'll
I
send
started
Natalie
at
an
FDLE
F
in
Friday
January of
invite. See if she can
2006.
see if she can join.
And what does a crime scene technician do for FDLE?
I am called to crime scenes to document and collect evidence. This is typically done through photographs and sketches to document. I will occasionally have to run a Faro scanner, which is a 3D laser scanner that takes a ton of measurements and pictures and overlays them so that in software you can take measurements with.
Phoebe, we're not talking about anything witchcrafty. We're just a crime scene analyst here. There was only like 2 days of witchcraft discussion, so you're safe. Stay here. Don't go to Discovery Addict. Don't go back there. You're here. So come on, Phoebe. There's a guarantee there's going to be no witchcraft testimony today
within the crime scene, and then I will collect evidence and turn it into the lab for analysis.
And how long have you been doing the crime scene work?
I got out of training in 2013.
Do you have any specialized training to be a crime scene technician?
I completed the training program with FDLE. It was a little over a year, and I had a period of competencies, readings, written tests, and then I did a period of supervised casework under a trained analyst.
And what kind of education, training, or background do you have to be a crime laboratory analyst in the biology section?
I have a bachelor's degree in biology from the College of William and Mary. I have a master's degree in biomedical sciences from Eastern Virginia Medical School. I have a master's degree in forensic science from Virginia Commonwealth University, and I completed the one-year training program for serology and DNA testing with FDLE.
Is the FDLE crime lab accredited forensic lab?
Yes, it is.
Is it here in Pensacola?
Yes.
Good and grace accept. That's good.
Can you tell the jury what DNA is on just a basic level?
It stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it's your genetic blueprint. Kind of like the blueprint for your house is going to tell you where the kitchen is and the bedroom. DNA is ultimately going to tell you what color eyes you have, what color hair, how many fingers and toes, and you get half from your mother and half from your father.
Is DNA unique to every individual?
Yes, with the exception of identical twins.
Can you tell the jury the significance of DNA when it concerns family members?
Family members are harder to interpret DNA mixtures. When you have single profiles, unless they're an identical twin, they'll be different, and you can easily tell one person from the next.
Okay, now we're actually kind of at an important part here in the trial because there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that points towards Donald Hartung, the defendant, as possibly being the person that murdered these three people. But I haven't really seen any good, solid evidence, like objective evidence that he committed these murders. So she's got some loose ends to tie up here, because I haven't seen it yet.
Next. But when family members start combining, it gets harder to interpret the mixture. This is because you get half of your profile from your mother and half from your father. So for instance, if you had a DNA mixture, meaning more than one person's in there, from a mother and a father, and then you were trying to look to see if the child was there,
kind
they
of
would
like
look
Kobe
like they
Bryant's
were there because mom and dad's DNA would count for all of their DNA as well. The further you go out in a family, so siblings will share less, cousins, uncles, aunts, they'll all share less. But the parent-child relationship is much more severe. Siblings can share more, actually. They could go either way. But
don't share
parents
DNA
will share
siblings. That's gross.
How do you develop a DNA profile?
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cutting or swabbing. I'm going to put it in a tube and perform what's called an extraction. Which means I'm going to add heat and chemicals to break open the cells that lets the DNA out. It then undergoes quantitation. This just tells me how much DNA I have in the sample.
Hey, that's my favorite. Weird. That's my favorite pickup line in the bar. Please help me with the extraction so the DNA can come out. It's weird. That's how does she know that was like my favorite bar pickup line?
And then undergoes amplification. This is making millions of copies of the specific areas of the DNA I look at, and then gets put on a genetic analyzer, which gives me the DNA profile. And it looks like a graph with peaks on it. Those peaks are assigned numbers by software. And so basically your DNA profile is just a big list of numbers.
Do you compare your findings to a known standard?
Yes.
And the known standard, is that typically a buccal swab?
Yes.
Do you do statistics to put in context your findings?
Yes.
Do you leave DNA on everything you touch?
No.
What kind of factors go into leaving DNA that's suitable for analysis?
It could be a lot of factors. Some people shed skin more than others, so they're more likely to leave DNA that they touched. Depending on whether you're sweaty, you might leave more because there's a fluid to transfer the DNA over.
Yeah.
How long ago you washed your hands, what type of surface you're leaving the DNA on. If it's rougher, it may scrape more off.
There's
things such as that can go into whether DNA is left behind or not.
There's friction.
And then whether
I leave
can
a lot of
actually
DNA.
retrieve it depend on if the person swabbed the exact area you touched, what kind of like weather conditions it was stored in or the item was in. Obviously, like heat and sun will denature it faster than if it was in cold temperatures, things such as that.
Is DNA fragile?
Yes.
What is transfer DNA?
Transfer DNA is essentially if I was to touch this counter, DNA could transfer from my hand. My DNA could transfer from my hand to the counter. Then you end up with like secondary and tertiary transfers. So a secondary DNA transfer would be if I touch the counter and then this folder and my DNA went from me to the counter and then this folder touched the counter, then my DNA potentially could go from the counter to the folder. With each level of transfer, I would expect less DNA to transfer. So from me to the
talking in euphemisms or
counter
actually
would
counters and folders?
a larger amount than from the counter back to the folder. But none of them should have a larger amount than what I have on my hand originally.
Why?
So what you're saying is it degrades each time.
Yes, with each transfer the amount of DNA.
Why would you
should go down.
transfer DNA from your hand to
So
the
in your time at
folder?
FDLE, how many items have you processed for DNA?
I've run over 17,000 samples for DNA.
And how many profiles have you developed?
Probably at least half of those.
Great
About half
job.
of those would have a profile, or maybe
great
slightly more, because some of them we run as
Wild
blanks
video.
as a control to make sure nothing's contaminated.
And how many comparisons have you done of those profiles?
Every time that I have a known and an unknown, I compare them. So most cases that I work have a comparison, or a good number of them.
Have you testified to your findings before?
Yes.
And does that include Escambia County?
Yes.
And how many times?
Around 160 times.
All right, you're here on the state of Florida versus Donald Hartung. When did you first get involved in this case?
I was first involved on July 31st, 2015. I was notified by the crime scene supervisor
3 days
at
after the
FDLE
murders?
that Escambia County Sheriff's Office had requested crime scene assistance with a homicide.
So you went out to the scene?
Yes, I did.
What did you do at the scene?
I ran our laser Vero scanner that I described earlier. That was my only role at the crime scene, was to document it with that piece of equipment.
So you yourself didn't personally collect any of the evidence?
I did not.
All right. Back at the lab, what items did you initially receive at the lab?
I initially received swabs from an iPhone 6 in the case, swabs from the BlackBerry in a garbage can, swabs from a webcam from the garbage can, swabs from the back of Richard Smith's belt, swabs from the front left pocket of Richard Smith's pants, medical examiner kits from Von Seal Smith, John Smith, and Richard Smith, and swabs from a bracelet on the left wrist of Von Seal Smith. I received buccal swabs from Donald Hartung and Tammy K. Duncan. I had a kitchen sink handle with suspected blood, a hammer from near the kitchen sink, swabs from the hammer, a Swiss Army fabric case from the kitchen counter, swabs from that Swiss Army fabric case, swabs of suspected blood from the Swiss Army fabric case, buccal swabs from Escambia County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Rusty Bjornson, swabs from the BlackBerry case from a garbage can, swabs from a webcam, swabs from a coffee table. That was it for the original evidence.
All right, so buccal swabs. What buccal swabs did you receive as standards in this case?
So I received
Come on, Daily Quick Bites. This murder happened 9 years ago. Give him a break.
swabs from Von Seal Smith, Richard Smith, John Smith, Donald Hartung, Tammy Duncan, and Rusty Bjornson.
And with
Bjornson,
all of those
stop
buccal
saying
swabs, were you
Bjornson.
able to develop their DNA profile?
Yes.
All right. Let's start with the swabs on the iPhone 6 case. Were you able to develop a profile off of that?
Whose iPhone 6 case? Why don't we establish that first? Whose iPhone 6 are we talking about?
Yes.
And what were your results there?
I developed a mixture of at least two. I assumed that Richard Smith was a donor. I was told that it was his phone.
Okay, thank you very much. You should have led with that. You should have been asked that. So this is one of the deceased half brothers. So yes, his DNA should be on his phone.
And his DNA was clearly on the phone as well. And
yeah, Cat in Wonderland's 9 years ago, still was basically a defunct company, but the government was still using BlackBerries until actually frighteningly recently. And most of the big law firms that like required people to have their own, like the company phones, would still use BlackBerries frighteningly recently because the security on BlackBerries was really, really good. And I think Obama was the first president they let have an iPhone. Because all the presidents before, I believe it was Obama, had to have BlackBerries because they were secure.
there was a limited foreign DNA profile to him that was insufficient for inclusion but suitable for exclusion.
Okay, so we don't know who the other DNA belonged to. It doesn't belong to the
Donald
defendant.
Hartung's DNA found on that?
No, he was excluded.
Okay.
What about the swabs of the BlackBerry in the garbage?
So the DNA on one of the victim's phone was excluded to be the defendant.
I developed a mixture of at least two people again. Again, I assumed Richard. I was told that was his business phone. There was foreign alleles, but they were not interpretable.
Was Richard's DNA on there?
Yes, his DNA was on there.
And you said there was foreign DNA, but it was not interpretable?
Yes, so there was such a low amount that I couldn't include or exclude people based on what little bit was there.
Did you test it for blood?
Yes, I did.
And how do you do that?
I use a color change test, and I rub the sample and get the staining on it, and then I add the chemicals, and if blood is present, it would turn pink.
And what did it test, positive or negative?
It was positive for blood, or gave chemical indications for the presence of blood.
All right, next I want to turn to the hammer. Exhibit 22. Did you receive the hammer in this case?
Yes,
Did you also receive buckles or swabs of that hammer?
I did.
When you received the hammer, did you run your own swabs on the hammer?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to show you. There's some gloves.
I want a hammer, to hammer them down. Good old Bob Marley song there. All right, we have to go through the charade of putting gloves on.
Take a minute.
I
Open
want
it
a
up.
hammer, to hammer them down. Oh, good old song. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer out danger. I'd hammer out a warning. My brothers and my
Is that
sisters.
the hammer that you examined?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you did the swabs for yourself on the hammer, how did you do that? Where did you swab?
I divided the hammer up into parts. So the black area where the grip is, I did on one swab.
See, this is the deal. Even though she's wearing gloves, she just keeps doing this. She just keeps rubbing her hands up and down the shaft. She's destroying any fingerprints that might be there. Come on. See, I hate when they go through this charade. Either wear the gloves and don't touch it, except for like a tiny part, or just don't wear gloves at all. This whole putting on gloves and stuff is just a big damn charade. Because you just watched her rub off any fingerprints that could possibly be on the shaft of the hammer.
The head to the black area where the metal is up here, I did on a separate swab.
See, she's
And I
rubbed the
swabbed
shaft
yellow
and she's
shaft
touched
area
the
with a
head.
different swab. And then I actually took a little piece of filter paper and folded it up and tried to shove it underneath where the head meets the yellow shaft to see if there was anything inside that little crack that's right there. And that was a separate.
Yeah, see, so she's fondled the shaft, she's played with the head, and she's jammed something up under the foreskin.
Were you able to develop? Did you test it for blood?
I did.
Okay, and what were your results there?
The hammer gave chemical indications for the presence of blood.
Okay, there's blood on the hammer.
Those spots.
Oh, come on, she's just reading her notes. You can't do that. You gotta, come on.
Objection!
She has to ask permission to refer to her notes. She refers to her notes. She closes them. Then she says what the notes refreshed her memory. But she's just reading here. Come on.
I tested the 3 swabs. So the head, the yellow shaft, and the black rip. Yes, all of them were positive.
All right, let's start with the hammer handle.
Call it the
Did
shaft.
you develop a profile there?
Yes.
Okay, and what were your results?
I developed a profile as a mixture of at least 3. The major and minor could not be determined. Then I compared the known standards. Von Seal Smith, Richard Smith, John Smith, and Donald Hartung were all included as possible contributors onto the handle.
Possible contributors.
What about the hammer head?
The head, I developed a mixture of at least 2 individuals. I developed a complete major DNA profile. The major DNA profile is the person who has the most DNA there. A minor would be the least. And the major matched John Smith. Then I also, the minor was insufficient for inclusion, but was suitable for exclusion. Von Seal and Richard could not be included or excluded to that. And Donald Hartung was excluded.
Okay, so we have a hammer, and on the head of the hammer, we've got mom's DNA, possibly the other 2, but Donald is excluded. But so yeah, there you go.
And what about the hammer shaft?
There I developed a mixture of at least 3. The major and minor could not be determined. Von Seal, Richard, John, and Donald Hartung were included as possible contributors to that mixture.
So possibly the defendant's DNA is on the handle. Possibly the defendant's DNA is on the shaft. But this is also a guy who shares half of his DNA with his mother, whose blood seems to be there, or whose DNA seems to be there.
And the area between the shaft and the head of the hammer.
I developed a mixture of at least 2. I got a complete major that matched John. The minor was insufficient for inclusion, but suitable for exclusion. And Von Seal and Richard could not be included or excluded. Donald Hartung was excluded.
So,
and you stated that you received swabs from the hammer from the sheriff's department?
Yes.
Okay, and did you test that for blood?
I did.
And what was the result there?
It gave chemical indications for the presence of blood.
And did you develop?
I couldn't hear her answer.
I'm sorry. Yes, it gave chemical indications for the presence of blood.
And did you develop a DNA profile there?
I did.
What were your results there?
I had a mixture of at least 3. I developed a partial major, which matched John Smith. And then Von Seal, Richard, John, and Donald were all included into the mixture.
Okay, so this is a hammer that's laying around a house with Von Seal and the 2 half brothers. This is just a hammer that's laying around the house. Anybody could have used it. Anybody could have touched it. Anybody could have done anything with it. They haven't proven this hammer is a murder weapon yet, at least as far as I can tell. Nobody has proven that this was a murder weapon.
Can you tell the jury what an allele chart is for them?
Yes. The DNA profile, I said, was like a list of numbers. The different possible numbers you could be at any of the DNA markers, the scientific word for that is allele. So at any given DNA marker, you could be like maybe like a 12, 13. Those would be alleles. An allele chart just shows what profiles were developed or what those numbers are at each of the different DNA markers for an unknown or the known individuals in the case.
Do you do that on every item?
Yes, we put those into a chart and for the folder for every item.
All right, I'm going to show you states 384. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a chart that I created showing Exhibit 22A, which was the handle of the hammer swab that I took, as well as the known DNA profiles for Donald, Hartung, Von Seal Smith, Richard Smith, and John Smith.
And is that an accurate copy of the chart you created?
Yes.
I can move in states 384. All right. Judge, if I could publish that. After our warm up. This is 384. Can you explain to the jury what we're looking at?
Yes. So the left column, locus is a fancy word for the area of the DNA that I look at. So these are the list of the DNA markers coming down here. Those are just their names. Then across the top is what profile you're looking at. So the first one is the swabbing I took of the hammer handle. And then you have Donald Hartung's DNA profile, Von Seal Smith's, Richard Smith's, and John Smith's. And so then at each marker, what I do when I compare DNA profiles is I look at the unknown. So at this one, it'd be like 11, a 12, and a 13. Then you look to see if each person could be into that mixture. And that's how you determine if somebody is included or excluded. If enough of their DNA is there, then they would likely be included into the mixture. If they're missing large amounts of their DNA, then they would become excluded from the mixture.
Okay, she's got a weird speech thing going on. After like a lot of her sentences, she finishes with an that's weird. It's like they can be excluded from the mixture. It's I can't not hear it anymore. She's kind of gone, you know, she'll finish a sentence and go, but now she's just kind of going at the end of a lot of her sentences.
In 2015, how many markers were you looking at?
15.
And what amplification kit was used?
It was called the Identifier Plus kit.
Okay, and what's that program?
We were using it's called PopStats. It was in the computer that the FBI provides us, and it made you would use combined probability of inclusion for mixtures or random match probability for knowns. And this just means that single sources, you would use a certain equation to say that this profile matched the other profile. And then for mixtures, you would use a different equation, and it showed that what the person could be included at, the statistic. So it gives you a weight to how good the match is or how good the inclusion is.
And have these changed since 2015?
Yes.
Okay, what are y'all using now?
Now we use a software program called STRmix that gives a statistic in the form of a likelihood ratio. And a likelihood ratio tells you how much more likely one scenario is over another scenario. So in the case of DNA results, how much more likely the DNA profile came from this person than an unknown person.
How many markers are y'all looking at now?
Now we look at 21.
And why did y'all change the system?
essentially just technology gets better over time. The additional markers
You're
provide
now
additional
in contempt
information.
of court.
And then the stats program allows you to use the STR Mix, the new program allows you to use a lot more of the data that the other program did not, because it's much more advanced and takes in much more things into consideration.
How many times have you used this new technology?
I've run over 600 samples through STR Mix.
Have you testified to your findings of these?
Yes.
Now, did you use this updated technology to read?
I am Dracula.
Okay. Let's start with the hammer that we just spoke about from the kitchen sink, near the kitchen sink. What did you rework there?
I reran the swab I took of the hammer handle, as well as the.
I'm sorry. Could you approach for one moment?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to use this can we approach thing here to wrap this. I have no idea what she said for the last 5 minutes. Well, because it's got these numbers and these markers, and if there's like an 11 here and there's 11 in everybody, then they can kind of be included. But if there's like a 20, just for you, Sea Winterstorm.
You're right.
There you go. Wow, she's not very clear into what any of those numbers meant, how it ties to him. But this is the last day of prosecution witnesses. Not our last day. It's going to be our last, probably 2, 4, 6, 3 weeks. And then one, we'll probably be able to get through the entire defense in 1 2-hour sitting. And then we'll have the closing arguments. So yeah, we'll wrap this up here. I need to embiggen this for the purposes of identification later, so that I know where to set it here. This is right at the. How come I can't see the marks? Where's the timestamp?
All right, we were talking about.
We're the 22-minute mark all right, the 22-minute mark. Because I did. There we go. Well, that's embiggened, isn't it? Okay. So there we go. That's 17. I'm just doing this for me so that I can find it next time. We did him. We did her. All right. So we're at part 18, and we're at the 22-minute mark of part 18. All right, cool. Got it. All right. That's where we're going to wrap this up today. Like I said, we got 4, possibly 5 more weeks of this left, and then we're going to move on to something else. If this is their last day, they've got to tie up some loose ends, I'm afraid. I mean, they said there's a large amount of circumstantial evidence that suggests he might possibly have done it. And unfortunately, a lot of juries tend to believe prison snitches, and the prison snitch is the only one that says, yeah, he told me he murdered him because he got left out of the will. So he murdered mom, and John exposed himself to his son, so he murdered him, and then he couldn't leave the other one alive because the other one would get all the inheritance, so I had to murder him too to get all the inheritance. And so, yeah, he told me how he did it. He told me all. The prison snitch is the only one that's directly linked the defendant to the murders. But unfortunately, like I said, a lot of the jurors go, oh, well, he must have confessed. So, we'll have to see how this goes. And again, if you know how this ends, no spoilers. But is there anywhere I can send you people right now? I don't know if anybody is streaming at the moment. Let me see if somebody is. I'm sure somebody's probably streaming the ballerina murder case. And by the way, again, this is our last call for like and subscribes. If you have not hit that like button, please do. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, now would be the time to do it. I would love to have your subscription, because we are closing in on a fun number. Currently, we have 77,771 subscribers. Just 6 more subscribers, and we will have 77,777 subscribers. We don't go anywhere yet, because I'm going to give you a little bit of an update here in just a quick second on what's going on in my world. We need content. Go to today's live show. We are still live. Click on that button. Click on customization. Come on down here. Redirect. Let's see. We got Mighty Meat or the Boeing Starliner update. Broken Baker is doing the Black Swan case. Sandy, okay, we got some Mystery Science Theater. Looks like Broken Baker is the only one that jumps straight into the ability to redirect to. So we're going to order the Broken Baker for day 3 of the Ashley Benefield the Black Swan murder case. Right, but first, by way of updates and announcements and what have you, coming up tomorrow, we will not have a Friday morning stream. We generally don't do Friday morning streams. We generally do Friday evening streams. So join me tomorrow, Friday evening U.S. time at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, which is 2 a.m. UK time. It'll be 10 a.m. Saturday morning, my time here in Korea and Japan. And for Australia, if you go like just Australia Central Time there, AET, it'll be 11 a.m. And then going back however many hours for the time zones in Australia, because it's Fuck It Friday, where we just say fuck it, and we have a great panel of guests on. We talk about current legal issues, current social issues. We talk about anything that you really want. It's just a big griftathon. We just have a great conversation. We have a lot of fun, and every $100 that comes in, we just do a shot of whiskey. And our whiskey that we will be taking shots of is this brand new bottle of Teeling single pot still whiskey, Irish whiskey, great Irish whiskey. The single pot still is actually a kind of a very, very interesting, unique way of doing things as far as Irish whiskey is concerned. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But that's the whiskey we'll be consuming. Every $100 comes in as a shot, and so generally we're good for about the first 3 hours. Then things start to degenerate and into shenanigans real quickly, and we have a lot of fun. So empty your coffers, bring your money. We've got it all. We've got Super Chats, we've got PayPal, we've got Zelle, we've got Cash App, we've got Venmo. We got it all. So you can send all your money to me. We do it once a month. It's just a bunch of fun. That'll be coming up on Friday, and the next Monday will be another Maritime Monday, and that'll take us up. We'll talk more about it later. So, folks, join me tomorrow, Friday evening U.S. time, middle of the night Europe, and early morning and afternoon here in Australasia area. I have not had Tesla tequila. I have not heard about any Tesla whiskey or tequila. But anywho, right, well, I'm going to end this up now. So everybody take care. Mods, thank you so much for being here and doing your moddy best. And thanks for everybody for being here. Thank you for the Super Chats, the gifted memberships, the monthly. We didn't have any gifted memberships today, but the monthly membership chats, all that stuff. Thank you for being here. And chat, thank you just for being here and hanging out for our Thursday retro trial chill stream. I hope you enjoyed yourself. We take it a little less seriously than we do other murder trials because it's in the past, it's over and it's done with, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, all right, with that, I'm going to let you go. We're going to go on over to the Broken Baker, the Black Swan case, Ashley Benefield's trial, day 3. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care, and don't forget to empty out those piggy banks just for me. Bye.